finishing up right now. Is that all chiefs and we're just missing Madeline.
Oh. Good evening, everyone. October the 19th, 2022, 6:09. I wanted to bring the regular city council meeting to order. The meeting will be conducted in person and also via the virtual participate in the media. And also it will be televised by the local channel 27. So also you can visit the website. The emails continue to be accepted, but will not be read in visiting the meeting. I want to start the meeting with Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to invite Norman Crook lead us for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, I would like to ask our city clerk, Rebecca Barr, for the roll call, please.
My apologies. Councilmember Lowe? Here. Councilmember Agramonte? Here. Vice Mayor Barnett?
Here.
Councilmember Felder?
Here.
Mayor Dean?
Here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, I would like to report our closed session. We started our closed session today at 5 p.m. and the matters are continued to discuss. So at this time, we will have no any item to share with the public. We will start after we have this city council meeting. Next, I would like to approve tonight's agenda. If any changes or remove, it's the time.
Jack,
Yes, please.
I have a question. Because there was not an attachment on item 5.3, is that gonna be taken off the agenda?
Mayor Dean and City Council members, we'd like to continue public hearing item number 5.3 to November 16th, 2022.
5.3. Okay. I will remove this.
So the motion approving the agenda should include that continuance to that specific date.
Okay. Should be then.
Move approval of the agenda with 5.3 moved to November 16th, 2022.
May I ask, why November 16th and not the next meeting?
The person presenting the item would not be available on November 2nd, so, and will be
Okay.
available on the 16th.
All right. We have the motion. Who second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Argamonte,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett,
Aye.
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Mayor Dean.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Let's go to the regular agenda item. Agenda item number 1, comments from the public. At this time, members from the public, and you have the comments, and it is recommended and to keep your comments 3 minutes or less. You can start it by your name and how to spell it. Please, Jim.
I apologize for reading my script. Thank you to the City Council for this opportunity to introduce Sonoma Plaza history. My name is Jim Silverman. I grew up in New Orleans, but have lived in Sonoma since 1989. I'm a retired Solano County public librarian and I'm a history buff. We live in a historically significant town, but somehow it seems just out of reach. So I and a small creative team with the Sonoma Community Center as our fiscal sponsor are creating various free, fun, bilingual, non-commercial, inclusive, easy ways for people to engage with Plaza history. We're launching a free storytelling history tour on your phone. It'll be in English and in Spanish. And we're exploring history through art, leveraging Mike Acker's iconic portrait of the Sonoma Plaza. I'd like to present the artwork to the City Council another time. The tour promotes the Sonoma Valley Historical Society, the Sonoma League for Historic Preservation, the Women's Club, as well as the Sebastiani Theater and other nonprofits. And I'm happy to discuss that at length another time. The tour tells stories that help you connect with this special place. Breck Parkman, retired state parks archaeologist, says to truly tell the story of this place, you need to begin 150 million years ago, when the Plaza to be was deep beneath the ocean and the earth was new. Today, in honor of Sonoma's Chinese history, with recognition of the significance of Mr. Jack Ding being Sonoma's mayor, I'd like to offer this story from the tour written by Arthur Dawson. During the gold rush, over 300,000 people flooded into California. They came from all over America and around the world, from Europe, Central America, and South America, Australia, and China. Young Chinese men sailed across the Pacific to seek their fortune on the Gold Mountain. Like most gold seekers, only a few Asians struck it rich, but they soon found their labor in high demand for agriculture and building the Transcontinental Railroad. By the 1860s, hundreds were working on ranches around here. A number of Chinese cellar bosses supervised winemaking. By 1870, Sonoma's Chinese population grew to between 10 and 25% of the residents. Hop Wo ran the Hi-Lo House on the plaza, a combination laundry store and employment office. It was near today's Sign of the Bear. Other Chinese businesses and homes were clustered near the Sonoma Hotel. 19th century neighbors recall how, quote, you could hear the picking of Chinese banjos and musical kites strung with rubber bands buzzing in the wind over the wide open plaza, which was not yet planted with trees. By the late 1870s, anti-Chinese racism led to discrimination and violence. State laws made it illegal for them to own property, bring over their wives and families, or even have their last remains returned to China. In face of such prejudice, Sonoma's Chinese community disappeared. What once was a
Excuse me,
vibrant
Mr.
thread-
Smith. Yeah, Solomon, the time is over. Yeah, please. I can give you one minute.
If I may just finish the
Yes.
sentence. What was once a vibrant Chinese thread in our local culture has been nearly erased, leaving an almost invisible wound. They are not forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Zimmerman, and I live at 275 West Spain Street in Sonoma. I've actually lived in Sonoma Valley since 1972, but we've been in the city of Sonoma for almost 15 years total. I came here tonight to talk about a safety issue that's been going through my head at least for the last 11 years, ever since we moved to West Spain Street. West Spain Street has a speed limit of 25 miles per hour. I don't know if I've ever seen a car going 25 miles per hour. They are going twice that much, if not more than that. It's really dangerous. It's dangerous for bikers. It's dangerous for all of us who live on West Spain Street. Coming in and out of our driveways is just catastrophic. It's dangerous for people crossing the crosswalk. There's a really dangerous crosswalk that's right outside of our house that's on 3rd and Spain. And I've seen many near misses just from my window and from my front porch. And our neighbor is still recovering. 2 years later, he's still on a walker from being injured in that crosswalk. So it's a dangerous situation. I've thought about coming many times, but something happened in Redlands, California this summer that brought me here tonight. And that is that I was there for my 60th high school reunion in a hotel, and all of a sudden there's a big, I think they call them sideshows, a big sideshow happened right outside the hotel, and it was horrible. It was scary, it was loud, it was dangerous, with cars doing donuts and damaging, and it was very well orchestrated because lots of people had started to come to that place before it happened. Even people from our hotel were going out into the lobby. And anyway, I said, oh, thank God I live in Sonoma where we don't have these sideshows. And we came home that weekend and read in the newspaper that there had been a sideshow at Maxwell. And that made me say, you know what, I'm going to go and talk to the city council. We really need to prioritize safety on the streets. We need to put effort, energy, attention, education, and money so that the police can enforce the laws that are already on the books about this sort of thing. It's really it's something that's going to happen worse than just somebody recovering 2 years later from an accident, trying to cross the street safely in a crosswalk. It's going to come worse. It's going to come to something worse than that. So if I sound passionate about it, I am, and I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Sandra.
Council members, my name is Denise Ewings, EWINGS, First Street West. I'd like to know why Sonoma did not receive a Nixle alert regarding the active shooter on Napa Street Saturday night. Unknowingly, I was only a block away at the time. How is this inexcusable failure being corrected? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I was just going to say I would encourage you to stay for the last agenda item. We're going to talk about the selection of our new police chief and just general conversation about public safety, and if you would want to participate in that as well, it is on the agenda tonight.
I was thinking about that. Armando Zimmerman, good evening. Well, I'm the broken record tonight. Thursday, October 13th, Santa Rosa PD. City adopts new rules to squelch sideshows. I'm not going to read the whole article, but basically, probably every couple of weeks, there's an article coming out in the PD about sideshows in Santa Rosa and nearby. They proliferated all over the city. They're well coordinated. It's obvious that it's online coordinated because people show up in advance because they're there for the show. I won't hide the idea that Sandy, my wife, was just talking about it. The idea is that they're coordinated and they are, let's not beat around the bush. There's incidents in Santa Rosa of violence, gun violence, cars burning in the street. It's, it can get pretty bad. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but it can get pretty bad. And these sideshows are basically, they're rodeos in cars, drivers in cars. It's like a rodeo. It's a competition. They go one at a time and they try to outdo each other, and it's pretty crazy. So I would echo my wife's comments. I also think that there are too many drivers these days, especially during the pandemic. I don't know why everybody's in such a hurry. Things seem to progress and get worse. I think a lot of drivers just disobey laws, and they do it with impunity, and I believe they do it in part because there's a lack of enforcement here in the town of Sonoma and in the surrounding things. One more thing. Last year I was involved with an online group called Next Door. We had 20 or 30 people to begin with. It lost momentum for various reasons. Some people were trying to get the city to respond to things in their neighborhood, and they complained to me that the complaints weren't taken seriously. Nonetheless, I just said, the last meeting we had, I said, well, look, I'm just going to try to do what I can do in my vicinity and maybe for my street. So that's partly why I come here occasionally to talk about this stuff. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any more public comments in this room? If not, can you please check the Zoom, please?
Yeah, I'll be bringing in Claire Salat.
It's great. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm going to take a moment tonight. This is Claire Solat. Last name is spelled S-O-L-O-T. I am a resident of Sonoma. And I'm going to take a moment to reflect on some of the issues that were discussed in a prior council meeting with regards to shuttering the parklets. As we know, the decision to make the parklets shutter prematurely unfortunately wasn't based on fact or scientific data, but rather on personal preference and opinion. In the October 18th San Francisco Chronicle, the front page article read, "State pandemic emergency will last until February 28, 2023. There are currently 27 emergency policies in effect. Over 21,000 people are hospitalized with COVID in California, and close to 2,700 are in ICUs. In Europe, there is currently a surge in COVID cases, and it's anticipated that that surge may well impact the United States during the holiday season. The shuttering of the parklets prematurely was an offensive act that was based on personal opinion of certain council members rather than using scientific data and protecting the safety of the residents of Sonoma. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Well said.
All right. All right. Let me close public comments. Then, for sure, nobody, right? Okay.
We'll continue to change.
Oh, yes, and the mics. Okay. Let's move to agenda number 2, meeting dedication. You have?
Nope.
Oh, no? All right. Let's move to agenda number 3, presentation. 3.1, proclaiming October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Mayor Dean,
Yes.
as you're reading that, I'm going to bring in Madeline. Madeline Keegan O'Connell from YWCA,
That-
DWCA, sorry.
That's great. All right. The City of the Sonoma Proclamation, proclaiming October 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas the City of the Sonoma recognizes that domestic violence affects the 1 in the 4 families in our local community, and that crime of domestic violence violates and individuals' privacy, dignity, and security based on systematic use of emotional, physical, sexual, psychological, and economic control or abuse. Whereas only an informed community effort will end the cycle of the violence for the local family. Members of our community are encouraged to participate in YWCA, scheduled events and programs to support the mission to eliminate domestic violence in the Sonoma County through awareness, education, and empowerment. That is the reason I issue the proclamation. May 30th of May 2021, and we did the same thing that before. Today we did it again. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Madeline Keegan O'Connell. I'm proud to be the CEO of YWCA. And on behalf of our board of directors, staff, volunteers, and especially the families in our care, thank you so much, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, for honoring October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Since 1975, YWCA's 24/7 crisis hotline, the only one in Sonoma County, is still the most direct path to support for families in need. Our confidential safe house shelter is also the only one in all of Sonoma County for families seeking refuge from harm. Calls to our 24/7 crisis hotline, that number is 546-1234, increased an astounding 46% in 2021 as compared to 2020. Equally of note and often attributed to the pandemic is the increased complexity and severity of the situations callers are sharing with our team. Safety planning and strategies to ensure relief are at the forefront of every call we receive. I'm here to remind everyone that we've been supporting local Sonoma County families since 1975, and we will be here for Sonoma County families as long as you need us to be. November 13, Sunday, November 13, we will be in Sonoma for our safe and warm, new and gently used coat drive. We will be based at Epicurean Connection on 8th Street East, and all the details for that and everything that we do can be found at YWCASC, that stands for Sonoma County.org. Thank you so much for your time and attention to my comments.
Thank you so much. Agenda number 3.2, Annual Report by Sonoma Valley Visitors in the Bureau and the Sonoma Tourism Improvement District. I would like to hand it to our city manager, Sue Casey.
Well, I'm going to hand it over to Tim Zahner and, I'm sorry, Hunt Bailey for the tourism, Sonoma Tourism Improvement District.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. And is my microphone on? Yes? The camera's at the right angle? Will look good for the home crowd? Good. My name is Tim Zahner. I'm with the Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau, and I'm so glad to be presenting to you our annual report. and a production report for a contract with the city. I also have Hunt Bailey with the Sonoma Tourism Improvement District, who will be presenting after me. Is that right? Because I lost the draw? Okay, I'll go first. So thank you for your agreement for services with the Visitors Bureau. As you know, we maintain 2 visitor bureau, one in the plaza and one down at Vianza Sonoma. Our job is to help people coming to Sonoma and answer questions and keep them here, and it's part of our economic development plans for the city. Part of our contract includes the following things. The Bureau shall respond to all written and telephone requests for information relating to visitor services in the city of Sonoma. We do that. As a matter of fact, if you have your phones, and hopefully Jose's by the text machine right now, and you text 707-996-1090 and ask a question, we will answer it. So that's a new service that we provided. I'm glad this fly has joined us in our presentation. So we have 2 phone numbers plus the website and the text for service that we answer questions on that. Part of our contract requires that the Bureau shall respond to all pedestrian inquiries related to the above. We run the visitor centers that open 7 days a week. They are closed for some holidays, but you can see us out there here in the plaza. The cart is out. If you see us, stop by and say hello. We also help with the Sonoma Greeters campaign, where we walk around the plaza and answer questions for people. The Bureau shall maintain a calendar of community events to assist event planners in attempts to avoid conflicts. This is probably the biggest issue Sonoma has. Everyone wants to do something on a weekend in September when it's very busy. And so we do have a calendar of events so people can see what's happening and they can plan accordingly. A big part of our job is to make sure and encourage people to bring events through the off season, usually November through April. That's the ideal time. So if anyone's planning an event, I got to tell you, there's a Tuesday in February that's looking great. Let me know what you want to do. We should maintain statistics regarding the origin and number of visitors coming to the visitor centers. Any visitor that comes to the visitor center, we ask them where they're from, how many people they're traveling with, how long they're staying, so we can make sure we know where people are. And also it helps us to kind of gauge where things were. You might remember 2020, 2021 was kind of an off year for tourism. Things are coming back because we're seeing a lot more international travelers and people out and about, which is fantastic. One of the requirements is that we maintain a list of services that can be used for planning social events of a personal nature, like weddings and anniversaries. And of course we do that, and we help people when they're bringing events here. I know some members of the city council, as well as other people in this room, have asked us, hey, we need help with a large event. They're coming here. We provide that information. The Bureau shall maintain a lodging availability network to provide information to visitors regarding the kinds, types, and cost of available lodging. We do that all the time, although with cell phones, people are now booking things with their phones, but we also help people who are coming here and help them find places to stay. We start with the city of Sonoma, then Sonoma Valley, then Sonoma County. We will not promote, to the best of our ability, unlicensed businesses, and that is something we do not do. We ask for business licenses, we ask for TOT numbers, we ask for their numbers for transportation. And the final thing, we shall assist the city in monitoring commercial transportation buses, limo services, and other forms of visitor transit services to assure they comply with city parking regulations. Perhaps you haven't seen me, maybe some of you have. I jump out and attack buses that load people in the wrong spot. They should be dropping them off in the horseshoe per city ordinance. We do reach out to people. We also email when the horseshoe is closed or when there's events happening so people know where to go and park behind at the barracks. I have some examples in the pamphlet I handed out. Happy to answer any questions or turn it over to Hunt.
All right. Any questions or comments?
And there's visitor guides and maps in the lobby if you guys want some. So you got it all there. Okay, I will turn it over to Hunt Bailey then with the Sonoma Tourism Improvement District.
Good evening. Hello. So as Tim said, my name is Hunt Bailey, and I hold the position of Vice President at the TID, or Tourism Improvement District. So a little bit of our background. In 2012, we were formed in partnership with the City of Sonoma to focus on 3 main points of development. So first, we encourage, like Tim said, visitation during off-season, so November through April. Second, we encourage midweek stays. And third, we financially support local events and organizations. So we are funded by an additional 2% fee assessed on all overnight stays of 30 days or less for every hotel, motel, inn, and vacation rental in the town of Sonoma. We, the TID, consist of a board of volunteers, and a few of us are here today. So we have Norman Krug, who's the owner of the Sonoma Valley Inn. We have Dan Parks, owner of Inn at Sonoma, myself, owner of Sonoma Valley Escapes. Not here today, but in spirit, we have Chris Wingberger, who is the general manager of the lodge, Dare Sturges, who is the marketing manager at MacArthur, and then also on the board is Mayor Jack Ding. So the benefits of the TID are wide-ranging, but we can break them into four categories. First, and maybe the most obvious, is the economic benefit to the hospitality businesses within the district. All right. And their year-round staff, and maybe indirectly benefiting the retail shops, the wineries, the restaurants, and the tourism-related experiences in our town. Second, our marketing efforts, which are channeled through the Visitors Bureau and their centers, are designed to sustain and or increase current levels of the TOT, which is the transient occupancy tax, and the sales tax within the city limits. Third, our efforts allow us to continue with our efforts allow us to compete with larger, more well-funded destinations such as Lake Tahoe, Monterey, Napa, and San Francisco, and so on and so on. And finally, and possibly the least known benefit of the TID, is our focus on heritage and community events through a grant program. We financially support and partner with local organizers to hold community-oriented and heritage events. Among these, the 4th of July Parade, the Vintage Festival Dia de los Muertos in the Plaza, the holiday lighting of the Plaza, Film Festival, and so many more. This year, we will have issued over $140,000 in grants towards these and other events. The TID partners with Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau to provide marketing, advertising, promotion, and visitor-assisted services, which Tim mentioned earlier. The visitor-assisted services are in 2 locations downtown Sonoma, as you know, but also at Vianza Winery, staffed by professional visitor service representatives and open 7 days a week. For marketing and promotion, the SVVB, the Visitors Bureau, runs a website, sonomavalley.com, as well as social media and public relations programs to showcase Sonoma's unique history, natural beauty, the culture, and of course our wine and food. So I'd like to thank you, the city, for partnering with us and for giving me the opportunity to present tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
May I ask you a
So
question?
the questions and the comments.
Yeah.
Right now.
I have a question. So you're funded primarily by that 2% assessment.
Are you asking, Councilmember, are you asking myself?
I'm
or
talking
TID?
about the Tourist Improvement District.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is me.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's just from the city hotels, but we
Yes.
market the valley, basically, right?
Well, we market, we promote the local city hotels indirectly. There's some
right.
bleed over outside of that barrier. Outside that.
Has there ever been, and when is the TID renews in 3 years, in 2025, I believe?
I believe, yeah.
Has there, and I don't know if this is possible, but ever been any discussion in terms of like a valley-wide TID, like that would obviously include the Mission Inn and other hospitality properties outside?
It's possible. Everything's possible. There's discussion. It's usually based upon taxing authority.
Mhm.
So it's usually to have like a city or a county.
Mhm.
But you could build a special district that's defined a certain way.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying it's impossible. And I know, Sonoma Valley, Glen Ellen, Kenwood could work together.
Mhm.
It's just if it's easily achievable might be the other question.
Mhm.
But definitely possible according to how the law is written. Correct.
Okay.
And to answer the question, there has been discussion.
Yeah.
A handful of years pre-COVID, we were discussing
Before the world ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's interesting, obviously, because, obviously it's an important organization, but I believe we're using city funds to promote the valley, and not totally, but as you said, it sort of bleeds over. And
I should also add that the Visitors Bureau isn't solely funded by the TID. We also have contracts with the County of Sonoma.
Okay.
And there's membership dues.
Mhm.
So the Fairmont does pay us
Mhm.
to become a member.
Yeah.
And so any business that's outside the city limits of Sonoma can access our services. They can pay for that honor, and that is a substantial portion of our revenue for the Visitors Bureau.
For the Visitors Bureau, yeah. I'm just talking about the TID, because obviously we're sort of limited to how high we can raise our TOT, because we want to be competitive with areas around us. And obviously the TOT, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but it's a significant part of our budget. And so if there was a way we could like share that with other hotels in the valley, because we are, one community, it would free up more revenue in our budget to sort of, obviously we were out, as Councilwoman Agramani always says, we have limited revenue, and so if there was a way to increase that revenue to you based on properties outside the city, I think that'd be very interesting to explore before it's renewed in 3 years. So,
Sure.
yeah,
I agree.
I have a question. You just mentioned about from the county, but you just mentioned about the one unincorporated areas and the mission the aim. How about the county government, if any, the funding to support and the visitor bureau here?
Yes, so the County of Sonoma, through the Economic Development Board, provides contracts for visitor services that allows us to operate, for example, down at Vianza, also other visitor centers. So you can apply for a grant usually through the County of Sonoma. They are currently looking at that program on a year-by-year basis, and so they're usually a couple months behind in implementation. But we were just announced last week that they're going to fund us for starting July 1 through June. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Any more questions and comments from our?
No, I'd just like to say thank you. I mean, you do a wonderful job. I hear all kinds of good things, and I've come by the visitor center and enjoyed it. And I have people visiting with me and I don't charge them TOT tax when they stay at my house there because they know me too well, and most of them are related, so it's probably not appropriate. But anyway, I'll be showing them around, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Right now, I would like to open to the public. Yeah, you can. Yeah. Comments or questions? If none, all right. And how about the Zoom? Okay, all right. Let me close the public comments. I would like to say the nice words to our visitor bureaus. And each time when I attend your the monthly Zoom meeting, TID meeting, that is one of my best time, because I always heard the great news and the revenues and how your clients and happy and made the contributions. So sometimes I tell the people, you are the heroes. You contribute to the money to the city, and you are entitled to develop them more. And also I want to say, although we are in a historical town here, but from the Visitor Bureau, every day you have something new. You create new chapters, showcase the best part of the Sonoma. And in the early of this year, the Vice Mayor Kelso Barnett and I received an email from the Department of State, San Francisco Post. They have 10 different countries and the consul generals want to visit in Sonoma. We are excited just only in 2 days in advance. I passed this information to the team. I said, if we can do something, in proper way, and he just spent only 1 day prepared and then a package, a very nice and elegant package, and also with our city pins, and give each consul generals. They are very much impressed. 2 months later, one of the consul general, he introduced the data ambassador to come here, visit again. So that is what are you doing every day really to make a difference and for our Sonoma. I want to say thank you. Any more comments? All right. So do we have any motion? No motion, just a presentation, right? Okay. All right. Let's move to agenda number 3.3, introduction of the new employees. City Manager Sue, please.
Good evening, Mayor Ding and City Council members. This is always my favorite time. We have 4 new employees that we're going to be introducing tonight. Before we introduce, I just kind of wanted to give a shout out to Kathy Lanning, our Human Resources Manager, who I thought she was going to be here, but hopefully she's listening. Since February 16th, she's hired 8 new employees. We're almost fully staffed. We're in the process of a recruitment for a water supervisor, but she and I worked together to hire a public works director, a public works administrative assistant, accounting technician, a development services supervisor, 2 maintenance workers, building inspector, and again, the water supervisor recruitment is in process. So I'm going to turn it over to the managers of the employees, and they're going to introduce our new employees.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. I'd like to introduce 2 new employees that will be working in the Development Services Department. Jade Filippi, our Development Services Supervisor, and Lauro Vasquez, our Building Inspector. Jade provides the oversight and coordination at City Hall, front counter activities, and provides administrative support for city departments. She most recently served as the operations manager at Vintage House, and for the past several years, and she has extensive experience in office and construction administration. Jade is a Sonoma High grad and has an associate's degree in computer science.
Wow.
And also Lauro, he most recently worked for the City of Nevada for about 8 years as a building inspector and a code enforcement officer. Laurel has a multitude of inspector and plans examiner certifications from the International Code Council, and he has a Master's of Fine Arts degree in creative writing from the University of Notre Dame. He grew up and lives in Santa Rosa with his wife and 2 children, and is bilingual and in English and Spanish. I think, I know I'm very pleased to have both Jade and Laurel as members of our city team, and look forward to utilizing their skills and experience to enhance city services. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Yes. Wonderful. Oh, that's great.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I am thrilled to be here tonight, and I want to give a shout out to Kathy Lanning and the city manager's office also for the support on these recruitments, because the reason I'm so thrilled, I consider this to be, cross your fingers, this is the end of the COVID era. And what we're doing tonight is we are replacing 2 part-time workers that helped us staff the parks crew during COVID. And this is a milestone to me. This is big. This has been going on for 2.5 years, and we are coming out and we're getting back to full strength out of Public Works. And it's a big milestone, and I'm really pleased to be here, and I'm looking for that downhill part of the roller coaster ride from here on out. I bring to you tonight also 2 Sonoma High graduates. Go Dragons! And we have tonight Nestor Polito and McLean Mann. Nestor is on the far side, and I'll tell you a little bit about him. He's got a background in sales and as a benefit specialist and as in banking. Nestor is bilingual, and he also has a lot of learned hands-on concepts in welding, fabrication, carpentry, and electrical. So not only does he have a little bit of professional experience, but he also brings forth some, tires hit the road experience that is going to benefit the Public Works Department immensely. Also here tonight is McLean Mann, and McLean has been working here in town for a couple of different contractors. He's worked out at Nuns Canyon Rock as an equipment operator. He's also worked for Broderick General Engineering as a laborer, and he's worked for Glazer and Glazer in the town of Pengrove. He brings a lot more tires hit the road experience as an equipment operator. He has also, as a laborer, worked in forming and pouring reinforced concrete and been pretty well schooled in the safety procedures and Cal OSHA rules and regulations regarding the construction industry, maintenance industry, and the work that we do. And it's great. We've got a couple of real quality people here tonight, and like I said, I'm thrilled to be here and wanted to introduce both these guys.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
And it's great.
It feels
yeah.
good, doesn't it?
New people, new
Get
blood.
going.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Welcome. All right.
No one's making me step. That's all you needed. Adios.
Hi. Thank you, everyone. Let's move to agenda number 4, consent calendar. All items listed on consent calendars are considered to be routine and will be acted upon by the one action. If any, we already did and removed, and 5.3 to the city council meeting dated on November the 6th.
That was a public
16th.
hearing item.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
public hearing, yes. Oh. So 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, if any in the change?
Could I pull 4.3?
Sure. Okay, any more? Let me open to the public first. Any comments? No. How about the Zoom? No. All right, and the 4.3, that is a resolution of the City Council approving the purchasing new computer equipment. So you have any questions or you want to clarify? Yes.
I just
Mayor,
want,
Mayor Ding, I'm sorry, do you want to take action on the 2 that you didn't pull prior to moving to the pulled item?
Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sorry for another interruption.
move
You
to
wanna-
approve 4.1, 4.2?
Who's second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe?
Aye.
Councilmember Felder? Or I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I lost my notes today. Councilmember Agramonte?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett?
Aye.
Councilmember Felder?
Aye.
Mayor Ding?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. I asked to pull 4.3, knowing nothing about this, but very interested in, my prowess in computers. What I'd like to know is what's the life expectancy of these systems? Phil?
I'll try to answer that question. In terms of our computer replacement program, we schedule the replacement for this type of computer every 5 years. The computers that we're running now vary from anywhere from 4.5 to 6.5 years in terms of utilization. So we try, and then we try to replace them all at one time so that we get all the same types of computer. It lowers our maintenance costs and makes the cycle work a little bit better in terms of just making sure that we're up to date on software and such.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any more explanation or let me open to the public. If any other questions from our public for 4.3. How about a Zoom? No. All right.
So I'll move to approve 4.3. Thank you so much, Mr.
Who's-
Wyrick.
Who's second?
I'll second.
And the roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe?
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett?
Aye.
Councilmember Felder?
Aye.
Mayor Ding?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Agenda number 5, public hearing. 5.1, discussion, consideration, and a possible action to introduce An ordinance amending Sonoma Municipal Code, the Title 19, to amend Section 19.10, Zones and Allowable Uses, Section 19.52, 030, Construction and Permit Processing, and Section 19.92, Definition, and then finding this action is exempt from the further environmental review under the general rules of the California Environment Quality Act, (CEQA), and the guidance in the Section 15061B3 that the CEQA only applies to projects that have potential for causing a significant effect on the environment. I would like to pass it over to Christina, please.
Thank you. The ordinance before you this evening, can you hear me okay? Okay. This is am I pointing at the right place? I can just go over there too. There we go. So the goal with this proposed ordinance is to streamline and support housing development in the city of Sonoma. We are doing this by changing our allowable uses table primarily. The amendments to Chapter 1910 would facilitate permitting of duplexes in the low-density residential zoning district. But currently, they require a use permit, and this would eliminate the requirement for a use permit and allow such projects to go straight to a building permit. And it would also promote the development of multifamily housing in medium-density residential and high-density residential zoning districts, and also clarifies some prohibitions that exist today for single-family and duplexes in commercial and mixed use as well. We also have an amendment to 1952-030, which is going to help streamline housing by eliminating a step of the review process. Currently, we have a tiered process where you go to design review and historic preservation first 1 month, and the next month you go to the Planning Commission for projects that would require both design review and, say, a use permit. So we'd be streamlining that process by having the decision-making body for the design review to be the Planning Commission. So that will save applicants a month of time and a good amount of cost. Every time you have a public hearing, you need to bring your experts, your architects, your engineers, and hopefully that will save everybody a little bit of time and money. The amendments to 1992, our definitions, are to clarify the applicable development standards and trying to simplify our terminology wherever possible. So the ordinance that's before City Council this evening was reviewed by the Planning Commission on August 18th, 2022. The Planning Commission did have a thorough discussion about some of the potential implications with this ordinance, largely related to the issue of legal nonconforming uses. So we do have a number of single-family residences in both mixed use and commercial. The Planning Commission went back and forth a little bit. In the packet this evening, there is a note about single-family residences being legal nonconforming after July 1st, 2023. Staff's recommendation this evening is to remove that provision and to have existing single-family residences prior to July 1st, 2023 be able to continue as legal conforming structures. And what this will do is just eliminate confusion in the long run. One good point that was brought up is we do have a lot of single-family residences on Broadway that are offices, and if we did put that legal nonconforming clause, it would prohibit them from going back to being used as a single-family residence in the future, and I think that's not exactly what we're looking for with this ordinance. So the Planning Commission did unanimously approve recommend approval for the ordinance to be introduced this evening. And just, we did get an email, public correspondence from David Eichar. And so what I handed out this evening is a revised attachment A. And the intention was most definitely not for ADUs to be left off. And so we will be including the revised Exhibit A with the ordinance that is proposed for adoption. What Exhibit A is, oops, can we go back? Sorry. You can see just the minor changes that are hopefully going to help get us some more duplexes in our low-density residential zoning district. So currently in the red, kind of 2/3 down, you can see under residential uses where there's the UP has been stricken out and it's being replaced by a P. And what that's going to do is save a developer who wants to build a duplex a lot of time and money and be able to skip the discretionary entitlement process and go straight for a building permit. Next slide. And for commercial, similarly, so the way that our development code is worded, if a use is not in the table, it is not allowed. So we're not changing anything with these additions. We're just clarifying that single-family residences and duplexes are not allowed in the commercial zoning district. And the purpose for that is we do allow housing and want to encourage housing, but what we really want to see is multifamily housing. And so we're trying to clarify that that's what we're looking for in these areas. And it's similar to the mixed use. So for single-family residences, the way that the code is worded now is it's a little bit misleading. So there's currently a P that it's permitted, and then there's a note. And it says that one single-family residence on a legal lot of record is allowed with a use permit. And so the recommended change would make it so that new single-family residences would not be allowed. And the recommendation from the city attorney's office was to put a date kind of far out in the future. So the recommendation is July of 2023. So that gives some of the projects that are in the pipeline now time to get through. We don't want to do any gotchas. And so we're giving everybody plenty of time. And then moving forward, what this would do is hopefully try to promote higher density housing in the mixed use zone. And here's that little footnote that I mentioned. So the change to 1950-030, as I mentioned, this is trying to skip one layer of review in the entitlement process. And so instead of our project having to go to design review and the planning commission, this is an existing section of the code, so it's not a new concept. We just haven't been using it to the full extent possible and trying to add some clarification to make it very clear to everybody that in the case where we have design review and a use permit or a plan development permit, that we're going to skip design review, historic preservation commission altogether and go straight to the planning commission. So our definition of duplex was causing a little bit of, basically had a gap. So our current definition of a duplex is a structure containing 2 units under a single ownership. And then we jumped up to multifamily dwelling, which was 3 units or more. So we had kind of a gap. So if there were 2 units, but it was a condo, we didn't have a definition for that. And that was creating some problems when we were processing applications. It's not really a duplex because it would be not under a single ownership, but it wasn't 3 or more units. So we're trying to clarify that a duplex is any residential structure containing 2 dwellings, whether or not it is under single ownership or not. And then there's just a lot of ancillary information in our definition for multifamily dwelling. And the primary way that we as planners use this is just trying to figure out which standards apply. So which parking standards, what setback standards, open space, things like that. So it doesn't really matter if it's a townhouse or if it's a 4-plex. It just matters whether it's 3 or more or 2 units. So the ordinance is before City Council this evening for adoption, and the potential trajectory would be to introduce a regular ordinance on November 2nd, and the ordinance would go into effect 30 days later. Lots of alternatives, depending on the feedback this evening. We can come back with revisions and return at a later date as well. And staff's available for questions.
Thank you, Christina. Questions? Yes, please.
Christine, I need clarification on this. In the staff report, it says that we're going to have clarifying language that would allow existing single-family residences, duplexes to continue as an allowed use, and yet the ordinance, as I read it, says just the opposite.
Yeah, correct. That's what I was mentioning earlier, is that we are recommending that language be modified so that
Well, then why are we seeing the ordinance with it still in there?
That's what we worked collaboratively to come up with the draft and went through our city attorney's office. And after reviewing it, a member of the public had a couple comments. So we're just here to make a recommendation for a modification before it's adopted.
So you're asking us if we want to make that modification?
Correct.
Thank you very much for that. Is there a process for like a variance or an exception if somebody wants to build a single-family home in the mixed-use or commercial district, and obviously that won't be principally permitted, and it says not allowed? Will there be a process where they could go before the planning commission or some sort of appeal body to hear their case?
So the way it's written now, it would be a legal nonconforming use. Our legal nonconforming provisions would not allow the expansion or enlargement of any use, and our legal nonconforming provisions are pretty strict. I will let our city attorney chime in.
Yes, you can't use a variance to allow a
Right.
use that's not otherwise
Right.
allowed. So, no. A new
So-
single-family residence is not allowed.
Right, okay, that's what I thought. So for example, like if you owned a large lot and, as you said, an existing single-family structure would be acceptable to stay as a conforming use.
Mhm.
But if you wanted to, like, say, split the lot, or, you know, you would not even be able to add residential in the form of single family.
In the
It'd have
form
to
of a
be
single
duplex.
family or a duplex, and
It could be a duplex?
no, so and that is currently the language that is there today. So
Yeah.
the only single family residence that's allowed in a mixed use is one single family residence on an existing lot.
Mhm.
So you can't do that today as it is.
As
You-
it is.
You can't take a mixed use lot and split it and do single family anyway.
Okay.
That's great. Any more questions, comments? No. Let me now open to public. More questions. Gentlemen? Yeah. All right. Can you please check in the Zoom?
Yeah, we have been bringing in Caleb Weeks.
Okay,
One moment.
great.
Good evening, Mayor Dean, Vice Mayor Barnett, council members and staff. My name is Callum Weeks, and I'm the Policy Director of Generational Housing. We appreciate the City Council taking action this evening to further reduce obstacles to housing production and for considering an increase in density for low-density residential zoning districts. However, the permitting of duplexes, we feel really falls short of the opportunities that can actually be realized in those neighborhoods. At a minimum, we would really like to request the consideration of fourplexes and that they be permitted in these zoning districts. Several parcels that fall within this designation have ample opportunity for more density without harming or really even significantly changing the character of these neighborhoods. It's really important to note that to date, statewide, there's been almost no use of SB 9 rights to build duplexes. One theory on this is that with the cost of materials, labor, and interest rates at an all-time high, duplexes just aren't financially feasible. Thus, allowing duplexes may be a policy that yields few or even no housing units. So we'd really like to, again, strongly encourage the City Council to be even bolder and allow a greater number of and diversity of units in these neighborhoods. While this leads into item 5.3 to some extent, we'd also request, once again, that open space requirements be revisited. The requirements as they stand currently really preclude, in our opinion, higher density housing opportunities on a great many parcels in the city. And as always, thank you for your service and appreciate you being here tonight.
Next, I'll be bringing in Fred Ollenbach.
Yes, please, Fred.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Ding, members of the city. Excuse me. Am I live?
Yeah. Yes. So,
Sorry, Fred, it kept
somehow I'm having
removing
to
you
keep
instead
click the mute.
You're live now, Fred.
Okay, sorry. Hi, good evening, Mayor Ding and members of the City Council, City staff. I agree with the things that Cal Weeks had to say, and I would like to take it a step further. I think that that fourplexes, first of all, I'd say that single-family zoning and RL zoning is something that's correlated with segregation and housing issues that have to do with that. And Sonoma RL zoning is 65% of city zoning. And so it seems like that only allowing duplexes and not other multifamily housing goes against affirmatively furthering fair housing state law. Because I don't think that ADUs and duplexes will act to integrate RL single-family zoned areas because nobody can build very low or low-income housing at that scale. So at the very minimum, I agree with Cal that fourplexes would be useful in those areas. But 65% of city zoning adds up to a substantial amount of underutilized space in the city. And so I think that it's important that the city don't think about putting all of the high density, low income housing on Highway 12 and in commercial and mixed use areas, but to also think about opening up the single family zone and RL zone to utilize that space. For example, in Armstrong Estates, there's a condition of approval that the minimum lot size there is 20,000 square feet. That's something that doesn't seem right, that amount of space is reserved for a single family house on the east side while the city's looking to put higher density in places where there already may be concentrated poverty. So I would like to ask the city council to consider that fourplexes and beyond, that possibly a number of 50-unit projects in areas where you could find the appropriate 2-acre parcels, like in Armstrong Estates, where there's two plus acre parcels there that could be used for a much larger project. So I think that's basically the gist of my comment, is to bump up the density, use that underutilized space. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Fred.
So.
There's no one else
No,
voting.
Oh,
no,
sorry,
and
pardon me.
okay.
Sorry.
Let me close public comment section, and right now it's your turn.
Thank you. Christina, I heard what Fred said, so is he saying the lot size or specifically Armstrong's estate to put in a fourplex? I mean, I guess I'm not
So I
getting
think
it.
the Armstrong Estates was just an example. So we do have a lot of opportunities in our code. There's more things that we can do to support and promote housing for sure. I'm going to share my screen just for a second.
Thank you.
So this is the existing code, zones and allowable uses. And just to orient everyone, so a straight line means the use is not allowed. P means it's allowed by right, and a UP means that a use permit is required for the use. So across the top, we have all of our residential zoning districts. So we have hillside, rural residential, low-density residential, residential Sonoma, and if you look at the chart, so a fourplex is not allowed in RL. I think it is a very great conversation for us to have. Why not? You know, the
Right.
common thought in planning is you regulate the size and the form, but if you have a 2,500 square foot house, if it has, you know, 1 unit or four units, it kind of looks and functions the same way. We elected not to move forward with that at this point in time because just trying to take one bite of the apple at the time. And I'll ask our city attorney to chime in about whether or not there's CEQA implications with doing that, but allowing duplexes feels very in line with SB 9 and kind of following up with those ordinances and regulations later on. If we do want to move more that route of allowing that, we might want to look into doing kind of a cottage building ordinance that really looks at these, 4 or 5 plexes, 6 plexes, and comes up with specific development standards for that type of a project.
Any more comments, or Davey, would you like to say something? Yeah, please. It's expert.
Thank you, David Storr, Mayor and council members. Should that be your council direction, we can also refer that back to that one particular issue back to the Planning Commission. We're looking at ways to streamline, as Christina said.
All right.
Well, I certainly would like to send that piece back. Anything we can do to encourage infill, since we've passed a urban growth boundary, it, it sort of necessitates that we look at things like that. And the whole reason is to not have sprawl, which, like 80% of the voters agreed with that. That's fine. But we also have a mandate to house people and to create units. And so it seems to me that, creating a fourplex will work. And once again, I ask people to please just take a walk down Curtin Street, and you'll see a perfect example of fourplexes, condos, single-family homes, and at the end there's a farm. So it's all of these and it's a beautiful street. It's lots of trees and lots of mixed residential types of buildings that work very well together. So I'd like to see this sent back because I agree with the testimony that we received on Zoom that we could do a little bit more.
Councilmember Lowe, do you want the Planning Commission to look at establishing a use permit process for the fourplex or principally permitted?
Well, I think it should be consistent with what this is, which is principally permitted, is it not?
Well, there are differences. I mean, you could, per zone, like for right now, a fourplex isn't even allowed in the low density. And so I think what they were asking was to have it even be allowed. But then if it's allowed, do you go through a discretionary process or just over the counter?
I defer to, the planning director and so forth on what would be the most consistent with our current code. I would, and maybe he can answer that question.
Yes.
Not so much of an answer, but just clarification that this ordinance can go through as is and then provide direction for us to return to the commission, not with this, but just the piece that you would like to have them look at.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, I'm always agreeable to, make modifications and take baby steps, and we're going to get there. But I think that the comments were correct, and so if we could pass this tonight and continue to work on the fourplex situation, I think that's fair.
That is right.
Yeah, and obviously the future Planning Commission and Council, I think, should talk about that. Although my suggestion at that point was I think we should probably just look at our zones. And that could perhaps be part of our general plan update, which is probably going to get going here at some point. Because to me, it makes no sense to have low density and medium density and high density residential if we're going to allow everything and everything.
I agree.
Meaning we should just have residential.
I
If that's
agree.
what the future Planning Commission and Council wants to do, that's obviously up to them. But we shouldn't allow everything in low density because it takes away the meaning of low density. That would be my point.
Yeah, I think I think we looking at that is also a good idea. I think there's lots of options there, but we have to take a stab at creating more density within the city limits, and whichever way it goes, whether it's through zoning or whether it's through modification of this particular ordinance, I think we should look at all of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, I have been working on the UGB for a long time, and I'm advocate. And one thing I want to clarify is, on the UGB, based on strong support of affordable housing. How? We just increase the density within the city. We try to put and work, live, and the recreation together. So definitely this is our direction, and also and Fred always mentioned about and segregation. I don't think it's so serious, but potentially if we are going on the wrong direction, that is possible. So when we set up any new and a code or a policy, we definitely need to keep it on the mind, because and everything that we are working right now in some way when it shape and the future of the Sonoma. Any more comments?
I actually have a couple questions. and maybe this is spelled out in the definitions, but multifamily dwelling is 4 or fewer units. I mean, there's 2 of them, 4 or fewer, 5 or more, and then duplex is obviously 2. Is multifamily 4 or fewer defined as 3 or 4?
The proposal is more than 2.
Okay.
So currently, it's very long.
Because they're different. Like duplex has different per zones, and then multifamily 4 or fewer has different, and I don't want it to
Yeah,
be
let me-
where.
So we're trying to simplify the current definition of multifamily is really long. So I think, like I mentioned, a duplex is 2 units under common ownership.
How long it will take for you work on this? Make some changes?
To make the changes, the legal nonconforming, that's a very easy modification. So I'm pulling up the definition now. So our current definition for multifamily dwelling means a building or a portion of a building used and or designated as residences for 3 or more families living independently of each other. Includes triplexes, fourplexes, buildings under one ownership with 3 or 4 dwellings respectively in the same structure, and apartments, 5 or more units under one ownership. So what we are proposing is to eliminate all of that, and it's just anything that is 2 or more will be multifamily. Sorry, more than 2.
More than 2.
Thank you. We're not eliminating that distinction. That is for the permitting path. So there's 2 different permitting paths for 4 or fewer and then 5 or more. And Director Sorr can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that ties to the Subdivision Map Act.
But the definition you just read does not allow duplexes in 4 or fewer.
Say that again.
The definition you just read said triplexes and fourplexes. Duplexes are not.
That is our current definition for a multifamily dwelling. So we are proposing.
So someone can't use the multifamily dwelling 4 or fewer units line as for the duplex.
So it wouldn't be. So a duplex is a different definition. It's not multifamily.
Right. So it sounds. Yeah. I'm just. Please say yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And then one question: when did we change a single-family home in the Hillside District to principally permitted?
It's not. It requires a use permit.
It doesn't say that in what you just passed out, because I always thought it did, but.
I believe it requires a use permit.
Hillside is 8R-HS, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Or is it our residential single family use permit?
No, it says-
It's RH. RHS is.
No, it's right there. It says P.
Yeah, that's not what RHS is.
Here, Residential Hillside.
Oh.
In what you passed out, it said it's principally permitted in Residential Hillside, and
Yeah, I can't answer that this evening.
okay, well that's
The Exhibit A that's in the packet shows in our RHS zone that a single-family home is principally permitted.
right, but it was always a use permit.
Oh, I don't know that.
Well, that's a very important question that I would love to be answered as soon as possible, because obviously.
Do you know what it is? It's
Mhm.
the requirement for the use permit. It's not in this table. It's in the Hillside ordinance. It should be in that table.
It should say UP right there.
It should. But I don't know that we can change that now. We might need to research that and get back to you. But the requirement for the use permit, I know this is really confusing. It's right here in 1940-050 under applicability number 3, conditional use permit required.
No, I know, but.
There's an inconsistency in the code, and then our code says where there is an inconsistency, the more restrictive applies.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think what we could do with that is make that change when we come back from the planning commission on the multifamily, or excuse me,
Okay.
the 4 units.
Fourplex.
Not- All right?
Fourplex.
The fourplex, yeah.
Not 4 units.
All right.
Thank you.
So any more comments? Councilmember Felder, do you have it? Because you have been working. Okay.
If I could just get clarification about the legal nonconforming change, it sounded like there was support for that, but just wanted to clarify.
So you're saying if there's support for that, that can be part of the ordinance tonight?
Correct.
Basically, if you have an existing single-family house in the mixed use or commercial,
So the direction would be.
it remains
for the-
conforming.
Correct. So to,
But you
to
can't do
strike
anything
to strike the language about legal nonconforming, keep the date for, in the future, and that new ones would not be allowed.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Is that language
Yes.
somewhere before the council?
Yeah.
Did you
It's
hand out?
not.
It's not.
No.
Okay. Is the council clear on what you're suggesting?
It sounded like it.
Sound like it? Okay. Yeah, so,
can't speak for anyone but myself.
so in like this way, so that today we will not make any motion. Wait until, is that right? Okay.
We're gonna make a motion.
Make- We're making a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Christina, could you phrase the motion you'd like them to make? That they would introduce blank, blank, and blank, 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 whatever it is. Fill it out so they
Sounds
can
like you
say-
know what to say.
I do not know what to say because I'm confused by what you're proposing.
Sure, hold on,
But
let
you're
me-
not, so
Yeah.
maybe
I
you
am
can
not.
lay it out for them and then they could say, so moved.
Sounds good. Let me pull up the agenda packet so I have it in front of me.
One way of trying to do this would, because ordinances need to be introduced and approved by reading the title only, you don't have to read the entire ordinance, would be to introduce an ordinance and then you'd read the ordinance language that is in your packet, which is quite extensive. That is part of the packet, including or being modified by the language then Christina could suggest. So it'd be a motion to introduce the ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sonoma, amending the City of Sonoma Municipal Code, yada, yada, yada,
And then.
as shown in the packet, plus or modified to reflect
Exhibit A.
Not Exhibit A, and amending 1910-020 to clarify that single-family residences in RM and RH would be allowed to continue as legal conforming uses.
That plus direction. for staff-
no more direction. We'll have a separate motion. to
Separate
that
motion for that,
On the
okay.
fourplex.
Okay.
Let's work this one out first.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe?
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett?
Aye.
Councilmember Felder?
Aye.
Mayor Ding?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Let's move to public hearing.
Do you need a separate motion?
Yes.
Oh.
We need a separate motion to look into fourplex language and changing the use permit on the issue that Vice Mayor Barnett brought up, correct?
That'll be residential hillside.
Residential hillside. So I make a motion that we refer back to the Planning Commission those two items.
Well, can I
Any
friendly
more
amend
comments?
that?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
The fourplex, let's refer to the planning commission.
Correct?
And then the hillside residential, I just want to, that's
To bring
already.
it back to us.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
already.
it's, okay, it's
yeah.
just okay,
Yeah,
fine. I accept that friendly amendment.
thank you.
Any,
Second, yeah.
roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe?
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett?
Aye.
Councilmember Felder?
Aye.
Mayor Ding?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we work together. And if no any additional motion, let's move to 5.2. Discussion, consideration, and a possible action to introduce an ordinance repealing and Chapter 1425 flood and the damage prevention regulations and adopt a new chapter 1425 flood and plain and management regulations of the Sonoma Municipal Code to meet the requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program and the California Building Standards Code. The Christina or oh.
Thank you,
Or maybe
Mr.
that
Mayor.
yeah, okay.
And members of the council, the city participates, well, since 1988, the city has participated in the National Flood Insurance Program. And this program was created by Congress to share the risk of flood losses through flood insurance and to reduce flood damages by restricting floodplain development. The program enables property owners and participating communities to purchase insurance protection administered by the federal government against losses from flooding and requires flood insurance for bank loans or lines of credit for buildings located in designated special flood hazard zones. The program limits the availability of the national flood insurance to those communities that adopt adequate regulations and control measures restricting development in areas exposed to flooding. The proposed ordinance repealing the Sonoma Municipal Code Chapter 14.25 and adopting a new Chapter 14.25 effectively brings the city's floodplain management regulations into compliance with the current national flood insurance program. The major change in the regulations is from where we previously were with the flood damage regulations. The major change is that it will require newly constructed buildings or buildings that have been substantially damaged to be raised 1 foot above the base flood elevation in those special flood hazard zones. So it adds a requirement to get those buildings higher. Currently, the code requires that the floor level be at the level of the base flood elevation. So this will raise it and help us with climate change issues in the future, and also just brings us into compliance with that program so that our property owners can get flood insurance. Let's see. The California Department of Water Resources, the FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the city's attorney's office have all reviewed the proposed ordinance, and all of their review comments have been either addressed or incorporated into the draft ordinance. The recommended council action is to introduce the ordinance by reading the title and conduct a public hearing on the proposed ordinance. That concludes my staff report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I do have a question. I don't know whether this is relevant, but many, many, many years ago, Russian River, you know, every year they would face issues of flooding. And I watched on television, actually, the legislature discuss, we're done with Russian River. They need to raise their houses. Is that what this proposal is similar to? Because it was an issue for every year, flooding, and then they said they will not help unless they put the houses higher.
Yeah, there is a component of the flood hazard regulations that basically says if more than 50% of a dwelling is substantially damaged, then that dwelling needs to be brought into compliance with the regulations. So in the case of the Russian River, they would have had to have raised those homes that were substantially damaged to a level that was above the base flood elevation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Within the city of Sonoma, generally where would this special flood hazard zone, like just basically along Nathanson Creek?
Yes, the majority of the properties in the special flood hazard zone are along Nathanson Creek. A special flood hazard zone has a 1% chance of flooding, and is mapped out in the flood insurance rate maps that we utilize here in the city. I think I counted about 87 properties that, or 87 buildings that are within that zone in the city of Sonoma. There are some areas along Friar Creek as well, but Nathanson Creek is the one that primarily has those zones.
All right, thank you.
If I could ask a question?
Sure.
Does that include Sonoma Valley High School?
The high school is adjacent to a flood hazard zone, and so yes, to answer your question.
Because that has definitely flooded, as you know.
Yes, it has. And so, yes, the Nathanson Creek along the high school, there are the 1% zone, or the special flood hazard zone, falls within a portion of that property.
And so those buildings, how does that affect?
Well, it doesn't affect the existing buildings, but if they were substantially damaged, more than 50%, they would have to raise buildings that above the flood hazard, the base flood hazard zone, and they would also, if they're building a new building, then they would have to.
They would have to. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Right now, we have the new and the requirements updated in the code. I'm wonder if any financial impact for our city, government immediately or in the future.
Well, that's a good question. I think it has a benefit to the city, because if the less loss that the city experiences, even private loss, the less that we need to respond to in the event of a major flood. So by raising those buildings up, they're less likely to be impacted, and therefore the city may benefit from that from a financial standpoint. I think the key here is that if we don't comply with the program's requirements, then the property owners are at risk of not being able to utilize the National Flood Insurance Program, and that would not be a good thing, because that would be very costly to the residents.
That's great. Thank you.
Question, is the cost of the flood insurance, is that prohibitive?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that it's prohibitive, but the flood insurance rates under the National Flood Insurance Program are substantially less than, I think, if you went out and just tried to get insurance privately.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
So if this would go into effect, does that apply only to any new construction or buildings that suffer more damage than 50%?
Yes.
So if we're talking about the new community pool with its buildings that have just opened up, that's considered existing, and it would not apply to that?
It would not comply to this ordinance, but but they would have complied with the
previous
ordinance.
Okay,
That's correct.
thank you.
Thank you. Let me open to public. Comments? Can you please check the Zoom, please?
I'm going to bring in Fred Alabach.
Sure, yeah.
Muted the first time here. I have a question about the housing element site inventory. One of the 3 places along Highway 12 that was designated for the very low and low income housing is sort of behind the Spark location near an old orchard, which I believe is in a 100-year floodplain or possibly a 50-year floodplain. I wonder how this ordinance would affect that location for the housing element site inventory.
Good question. Yeah. So please.
So there are a few properties along Sonoma Creek that are within a special flood hazard zone, mainly within the Rancho. I'm getting old these days. a mobile home park off of Ramon Street. There are some properties within that area that are impacted by the special flood hazard zone. I don't know specifically about this property that Mr. Albrock is referring to, but it's possible that if they were very close to the creek, it could have an impact on the construction. Typically along Sonoma Creek, our setbacks set the buildings back far enough so that they're out of the zone. Most of Sonoma Creek is contained. The special flood hazard zone is contained within the channel of the creek.
And I think the question was also geared towards what impact does that have on the sites inventory and the housing element relative to the number of sites. We've actually built in some redundancy. So when conditions like this occur and there is a problem, that we don't go out there and site plan every site that we put in the element, but we do build in a buffer, if you will, such that some will fall out. We won't know that until actually an application is provided and engineers tell us where exactly the center line of the flood is and where the channel is.
That's great. Questions? Okay, for sure. Yes.
Maybe this is off the wall, but oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Maybe it's off the wall, but the small quake that happened in Santa Rosa. This is a quake, and I have a couple of friends that had or have insurance under the California Earthquake Authority, and which is good. They've got some insurance, but the deductible is wow. And there's some limitations, and in terms of what a person can afford, in terms of the upper end for replacing a dwelling. So I'm just wondering if does California have a flood insurance policy such or availability such as the California Earthquake Authority, and if not, then does the federal policy have these high deductibles and limitations? Anyway, questions?
Yes, please, Wayne, if you can say something.
I'm not aware of California providing flood insurance. Everything is done through FEMA. In fact, the National Flood Insurance Program within California is administered by the Department of Water Resources, and so that's a state agency, and so they offer that insurance and assistance to property owners through the Department of Water Resources. With respect to what the deductibles are, I don't know.
All right. If any other interesting question? So right now this one is in a simple. Yeah, we just
Has public comment been closed?
We already have the public.
closed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right now I'm gonna close the public comments.
Thank you.
Let me bring back to council, and we can prepare now the motion before we vote. This one is a simple one.
When the motion is made to introduce, please read the entire title. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I knew you're all looking at me. All right, I'd like to move approval of an ordinance amending the Sonoma Municipal Code, amending Title 19, Chapter 19.40, General Property Development and Use Standards to remove.
Excuse me.
Oh, wait a second, I'm reading the wrong one. No, I'm ahead of myself. Just practicing for the next one, because I probably have to do that too.
Which has been postponed.
Which has been postponed.
Please move to introduce the ordinance.
I move to introduce the following ordinance, repealing Chapter 14.25 Flood Damage Prevention Regulations and adopt a new Chapter 14.25 Floodplain Management Regulations of the Sonoma Municipal Code to meet the requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program and the California Building Standard Code.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe?
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett?
Aye.
Councilmember Felder?
Aye.
Mayor Ding?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Why say sorry? No sorry at all. Thank you. And I took the motion. All right.
5.3 was continued.
So now let's move forward to the next agenda. It's okay? Yeah, we have then 3 ahead. Agenda number 6, a regular calendar. 6.1, discussion, consideration, and a possible action to introduce an ordinance repealing the chapter 14.10 of the Sonoma Municipal Code and then enacting the new chapter 14.10, adopting the new administrative provisions and adopting by the reference to the parts 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of 2022 California, the Building Standards Code, and amendments thereunto. Right now, I'm going to hand over to Developmental Service Director. Again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Effective January 1st of 2023, a new set of construction codes will go into effect and become effective throughout California. And the construction codes currently adopted by the city will no longer be applicable to permits that are applied for on or after that date. The proposed ordinance before you tonight repeals the city's previous construction codes and adopts and amends the new 2022 California Building Standards Code in accordance with California regulations. By way of background, new model codes are published nationally about every 3 years. And the state adopts those model codes and then amends them to meet certain state requirements. And then once the state codes have been published, then it gives the opportunity for local jurisdictions to amend the state requirements that are published. But in any case, those state requirements go into effect in January of 2023. The local amendments that to the California Building Standards Code are typically adopted by local jurisdictions to provide regional consistency and enhance code requirements to address local issues dealing with items such as administrative enforcement provisions, abatement of hazardous buildings, fire protection, firefighter safety, green building and sustainability measures. So state law dictates that local amendments to the California Building Standards Code must be equivalent to or more stringent than the provisions contained in that code. In addition, state regulations require that local jurisdictions adopting modifications to the California Code's Building Standards Code must adopt those modifications with express findings of need based on local climatic, geological, or topographical conditions. So when you look at the ordinance, you'll see a lot of text regarding findings and the reasons behind why those local amendments are being made. And the local amendments being proposed by this ordinance are generally consistent with existing policies and construction requirements that were previously adopted by the City Council. Typical types of local amendments include, clarifying the administrative provisions so that we can more effectively enforce the codes, providing a higher level of green building standards to help meet City Council climate protection initiatives and providing a higher level of fire protection for operating permits and to help the city maintain its Class 1 ISO fire protection rating. So I can go into a lot of detail about what all these codes mean and what sort of changes are, and it would take several hours to do so. So what I'd like to do is just hit on a couple of points related to local amendments that we are proposing that we adopt. And again, they're fairly consistent with what we've done in the past, but I think they're of some interest to you related to the things that we're proposing locally. One is to reference the new flood hazard mitigations when those are finally adopted, the ones that you just considered. So the codes will reference those code requirements. Further on the fire code, we've changed. I think there was some interest on the part of the City Council to modify the triggering value for triggering fire sprinkler systems when remodeling different types of occupancy. So what was done is we went back and looked at the CPI since the last time we changed the triggering valuation. And so for residential occupancy, the trigger amount to install fire sprinkler systems for residential occupancy has been changed from $100,000 to $150,000, meaning that if they have a permit valuation of under $150,000 under this proposed ordinance, no fire sprinklers would be required for existing residential buildings undergoing remodeling. For all new buildings that are being constructed, fire sprinklers are typically required in any case, but we're talking about major remodeling projects for residential construction here where they're doing under $150,000 worth of work would not trigger the installation of fire sprinkler systems. And then for all other occupancy, the trigger was raised from $150,000 to $200,000. So that was something, I was requested at one point by the City Council probably about a year ago, but we incorporated into this code cycle so that that trigger could be realized. Another item within the fire code that was added relates to the need for additional fire sprinkler protection. Now, this doesn't mean that fire sprinklers weren't otherwise required. It just means that the density and the design of the fire sprinkler system needs to be such that it can support parking garages due to the fact that nowadays we're seeing many more electric vehicles, and the fire hazards associated with putting out those fires in electric vehicles with the battery, lithium and lithium-ion batteries is somewhat problematic from a firefighting standpoint. So basically you have to put more water on the fire than less water on the fire when we're talking about public parking garages. So that was one. And then the other thing that we've been doing since really the introduction of Cal Green, which is the sustainability code for California, is we've, for both residential and non-residential occupancies, we are recommending that Tier 1 of those regulations be adopted. We've been doing that, again, since inception of Cal Green. And what that does is raises the bar for sustainability and climate protection measures slightly, or I'd say it's more than slightly, but it raises the bar beyond what the minimums are for California in terms of Cal Green. And there's a more complete summary of all the significant code changes to the codes in Attachment B of the supplemental report. It's pretty extensive, and but the information is there. In terms of financial impact, I just want to mention that as time goes on, the codes don't tend to get less stringent, they get more stringent, which does have a cost impact to developers. So as every 3 years, we tend to see more costs associated with the initial construction of buildings, particularly as it applies to energy codes. Every 3 years, we get more and more stringent energy codes that in an effort to meet some of our climate protection goals. However, the California Energy Commission estimates that the net savings on energy bills over the lifespan of a building resulting from the new code requirements will generally be greater than increased initial costs. So they spread it out over the life of the building in terms of whether or not it's cost effective. The proposed ordinance has been reviewed by the City Attorney's Office, and there is a strikeout version of that code from comparing it to the previous code available on our website for any of those that are interested in seeing sort of what's being replaced or how it's being amended. And staff is recommending that the council discuss and ask any initial questions regarding the proposed local ordinance and or adoption of the code. This is a little different than the previous item that we just went through because the public hearing for this item will be held at the second reading or at your next meeting. Following the discussion and any council proposed revisions to the ordinance, we're recommending that you introduce the ordinance publicly by reading the title of the ordinance and scheduling a public hearing to hear the matter and possibly adopt the ordinance on November 2nd. That concludes my staff report. Acting Fire Marshal Trevor Smith is in the audience in pink, and he's here to answer any fire code related questions you may have, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you have.
I do have a question, Mr. Mayor. When we remodeled our house, I thought it was very, for me, it was very draconian having to put sprinklers in the house. I thought it was by the space or the addition to the house, but now we're saying it's the cost of the remodel. How do you determine how to sprinkle a house, put sprinklers in a house?
Yeah, for existing buildings, the trigger, there's a couple different triggers. The area of the home, if it's more than, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 4,000 square feet, Trevor? Okay, I think it's 4,000 square feet. Then it would trigger the requirement for fire sprinklers, but the most common by far trigger is the valuation. So if in your example under the current code you had a remodel that was more than $100,000 in value, then a fire sprinkler system was required.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving that number now to 100.
Yeah, I guess that's why I was asking, because of the size versus the cost. Because our house is certainly not that large.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of surprised. I felt it was kind of sort of draconian. But I'm over it now, Mr. Byron. I've moved on.
Yes, please.
A question came to me, and I asked the city manager about it. It had to do with mandatory cooling. We have mandatory heating, but we don't have mandatory cooling in rentals. It was recorded this year over 115 degrees. We do know that the earth is heating up. It's not a myth. Would this be the appropriate place to add a regulation of a code of this kind on new rental units?
I think you could regulate and have a requirement. We need to research a little bit on the housing aspect because the Department of Housing and Community Development has, there are some special regulations with respect to what we can and can't do in terms of more restrictive code measures, and part of that is because of housing affordability. They obviously this will increase the cost of housing, and it uses more energy. It's less sustainable. So there are consequences associated with that type of regulation, where we're requiring them to install cooling in particular units or in different types of housing. But it's something that we could definitely look into. I don't think I'm prepared to provide
No,
a
no,
full
and of
analysis
course,
tonight.
I'm sorry I didn't
No.
warn you in advance I'd be asking this question. But since we're having two readings of this, it would be, if at the second reading you could come back and let us know to what extent we could have a code for that. Because it made sense to me that, and also there was a lot of cry for having cooling centers and so forth. So at some point, it's a cost to all of us to make sure that people are not overheated as a safety measure. So I would like to find out more about that.
Well, I would add that under buildings that are constructed under the new energy codes, and this energy code is no exception, there are more stringent insulation, window requirements, door requirements. The envelope of the buildings are being sealed up much, much better and make them more, I think, sustainable from the standpoint of cooling. There's also new mandatory ventilation requirements for housing and buildings, so that it can exhaust air from within the building if need be. So I think that they perform much, much better than what you might see in typical rental housing these days. And of course, we're talking about really new construction here. So I'm not sure that need is as great as what it otherwise would have been, with housing that was constructed with single pane windows, no insulation, those kinds of things. Obviously, heat is an issue.
But as we develop infill housing, we could be doing second stories and third stories. So even, with as you go up to second and third stories, sometimes the need, heat rises, right? They might need something more than what you just described. Anyway, I'd like to be able to respond to at least this particular citizen and let him know that we're investigating it and looking at all the different things. Makes sense to me, if that's okay.
If that's the
Yeah.
desire of the council, we can certainly look into that.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. Yeah, we discussed about the code and also helping our residents. That's great. Sure. Public comments. No, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just have a question. How would that affect the adoption of this? Are you just asking the city to look at it in the future, or actually putting it into this?
Can we make changes, or is this?
Well, my recommendation is that this type of analysis would probably take longer than just before next meeting.
So we'll bring it back.
And I would recommend that you can change this code at any time in the future. It's just that we're sort of under a deadline because January 1st is coming up soon, and the code goes into effect regardless if we do these amendments or not.
So I with that understanding, just as part of your report, when you bring it back, just give us an update on that, and then we could perhaps agendize that for a future edition.
Yeah, to answer your question, the ordinance would need to be reintroduced
Right.
if we were to amend
Yes,
anything.
I got that. Good point. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Let me now open to the public for comments and questions. Could you please check?
We're going to be bringing in Fred Alabach.
Yes.
And city council members again. I've had a concern for a long time that the green housing um, regulations would start to add to the cost of housing. And so this plays into a framing that I've been kind of working on for public policy and hoping that people would adopt more and more as the sustainability triple bottom line with full cost accounting so that that the bottom lines of economy, environment, and society would be equally accounted for. And so it seems like in general in public policy that the economic and environmental bottom lines are usually pretty well covered, but it's the social and equity one that ends up coming up short. So I'm not sure how it would apply in this situation to the codes of, you know, new buildings. But I would like to follow up on Councilmember Lowe's uh, thoughts there that somehow as the city and the state requires more green building and more energy efficient building, that shouldn't come at the cost of people who are least able to pay for it, like that we've seen through multiple disasters here that and inflation, the Great Recession, that people's ability to pay for stuff has just been eroded and knocked down tremendously. And then if there's building requirements that add to the cost, somehow that has to be equalized somewhere in a triple bottom line um, framework. So that's just kind of a comment. I'm not sure how it applies to the regulations that Wayne was talking about, but I think that that's something that hopefully can just be entered into people's thought process is kind of bringing the social and equity part of the triple bottom line up on par with the economic and environmental bottom lines as well. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Any more? No? No? Okay, no more. Okay. Let me close the public comments. So right now, we have the more questions. If there are no questions, we prepare the motion.
I'd like to approve an ordinance of the City of Sonoma repealing Chapter 14.10 of the Sonoma Municipal Code in its entirety and reenacting a new Chapter 14.10. Pardon?
I'm sorry, you indicated you want to approve. Actually, we are introducing tonight.
Introducing. Okay, sorry, thank you so much. I'd like to introduce an ordinance of the City of Sonoma repealing Chapter 14.10 of the Sonoma Municipal Code in its entirety and reenacting a new Chapter 14.10, adopting new administrative provisions and adopting by reference Parts 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of the 2022 California Building Standards Code and amendments thereto. The next line?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe?
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett?
Aye.
Councilmember Felder?
Aye.
Mayor Dean?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
I would like to have the 5 minutes break, and then we continue the next step.
Kelso.
There is none. That's the problem. Christina doesn't want her to go. It's just, it was my viewers.
Let's move on to agenda number 6.2. Consideration, discussion, and a possible action. 2. Number 1. Introduce an ordinance amending section 2.44.1010, 2.48010, 2.5020, 2.56.020, 2.60, and 1012.080, and then the Sonoma Municipal Code pertaining to composition of and eligibility requirements for the city commissions and committee. And number 2, adopt resolution amending the council, the commission, and the committee appointment policy and commission application. I will hand over to the city clerk, please.
Thank you, Mayor Ding. Before you this evening, we have two or three items that we'll be talking about, but 2 actions. In September, the City Council considered the Commission Committee appointment policy, and some of the areas of discussion included the requirement for appointees to be qualified electors, the amount of time that we kept applications on file, the addition of youth members on all of the Group B commissions, and how residency is verified. We also discussed the commission application, and there was some discussion and recommendations on amendments to that application. One of the things the City Council asked that I do was to pull the other Sonoma County cities to see how they handled the proof of residency, and also as to the requirement of qualified elector or not. I did do that, and as far as the qualified elector, with the exception of Santa Rosa, none of the other cities require their appointees to be qualified electors. The city of Santa Rosa currently is going through a charter review, and this, in the discussions that they've been having, the clerk did share with me that this is one of the areas that they believe is going to be changing to remove that requirement. As far as the proof of residency that was discussed, none of the cities require physical proof. They feel that 3 of the clerks actually reached out and said that they feel that when someone signs the application, it says that they're attesting that the information is true and correct that they provided. So in response to the council direction, the comments from that meeting, and the research I've done with the other cities and other applications, we've completed the following items for your consideration tonight. And if you request additional changes, then we can incorporate those into the final documents. We'll be taking these in 3 places, and as I said, there will be 2 formal actions. And something to note, if you do want additional changes in the ordinance, then that will have to be reintroduced and brought back. So as far as the ordinance, the basic changes that were made, they were not very many. We added a youth member to each of the Group B commission, and we added a member, so it's in the ordinance, it's reflected in the number of members, because the actual makeup as far as the youth member is put into the policy. So that addition of a member was added, and then we changed the requirement that commissioners be qualified electors of the city to residents of the city or of Sonoma Valley as defined in the commission and committee policy. Those were the only 2 additions that we made per your direction to the ordinance. And so if we want to take these, I feel like if we take these one at a time, that would probably be the best way to go through this. So with that, I'll conclude my portion on the ordinance.
Thank you, Rebecca. Questions?
Just as far as Santa Rosa is concerned, I've talked to the mayor there, and they are changing it for sure. And I know people that are on the charter commission, and they're making all of those changes. So it'll be every city in Sonoma County. Yeah.
That's great.
I'd like to have, you said true, assume true and correct. So is there anything egregious with a application?
Well, there was some concern about how we would prove that they were actually residents of the city.
Mhm.
And there was some discussion on proof if we should require some sort of in the past when we would call and confirm that they were qualified, I would contact the ROV and verify their qualification as far as a qualified elector. That is a tough sentence for me to get out tonight. I'm so sorry. So there was some question as to how we would do that for residency. And we did put a definition, and when we get to the policy, we did put a definition based on the question of proof of residency and how people are attesting to that. But then if there was a challenge, how would we resolve that challenge? And then the definition, it says that it would be by either some sort of physical proof, such as a water bill, a bank statement, a utility bill.
Okay.
And that's something.
I just want
And we'll
to-
discuss that more if we can when we get to the
Thank you.
policy.
Well, just in terms of when an application is submitted, would staff be doing some kind of a check on the residency of the person? In other words, looking up a physical address and seeing that's actually within the city limits? Or, in other words, I'd hate to see an application go through the process of people selecting someone and then to have a challenge later on.
I always go through each application and do that, Councilmember Felder. That being said, there are times when I have looked at the map and I was like, oh, and it happened recently where I thought one was in and when it was not. So it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it will. But we do go through and verify each one. If there's a question, if I can't easily identify it, I will send it over to like Wendy Atkins, and she looks at the GIS to make sure it's within the city limits.
I would just like some assurance that the staff has considered that, even though they're saying it's true and correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. More questions?
Is there a way staff could verify that the address submitted is a residential address and not a commercial one? I mean, I assume that's possible through.
Yeah.
Well.
And I guess the question is, could you be registered to vote? I know that doesn't matter anymore, but could you live in a commercial?
If it's your residency, then if you can prove that that's your residency, then yes. I mean, we've had that come up in the council elections where someone lives in their business and they're still eligible for it. Unless.
But that was.
Yeah. And I mean, if council chooses something.
I'm comfortable. If someone, if the place that the person lives is their business and that they're living there, they're living there. I mean, I don't think we should.
Well, I only bring it up
engage in-
because
yeah.
25 years ago, and this was for the council, so it's different because
Right.
someone lived outside the city in the hills, but had a business in the city, and then ran for council because they registered to vote at their business in the city, but they lived outside, and so that was an issue. And so I'm trying.
Well, that's actually why voter registration is not actually as good as this, because really you're not required to present proof of where you live when you register to vote.
Right.
So actually having a PG&E bill or a bank statement to a certain place is, twice as much as what you would be asked for should you be registered to vote. So there's a little bit there. I mean, I think we have to be, as I said, I'm pulling teeth to get people to apply to be on commissions. This is not like, everybody is trying to be a scofflaw and get on these things. This is to make it more user-friendly, to open it up, because I've heard, when we had these new commissions that we approved, and, we're not going to do it until after the election, and people have been asking me about it, And I said, well, just take a look at the application and get ready and see what you think. And, one of my neighbors just who, has 2 little kids, is really involved in recreation, would be a great member of a committee. He just said, I looked at that thing and it was just like, it was so complicated. There was so much on it. I just, it's like, I'm busy. I can't do it. So it was like, let's make it user friendly. Let's, make people, and I think it is, and let's make it more inclusive so people, we can reach out to more people and get them involved. And the more people we have involved in our city, the better it's going to be for all of us, I think. So I'm very happy with what you did. This is a lot of work. It looks right to me. Thank you.
Yes, that is a good for the more people to involve, and also this is a good opportunity for the local residents, especially the applicants for the local government, and for them that they will study more, and because when you then sign your paper application form that is true, complete, that means a lot of the thing. So that is the more the requirements for the applicant. So from the city office, provide any, the favorable or easy read, just like the Sandra mentioned, and it's education material, and help them understand. In this way, they can stand up to participate in local politics.
Since it appears you guys are going forward with the policy, can we go ahead and I'll just talk about the changes that we made in the policy and the application, and then we'll just open it up and then just take the app. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because
sounds good.
So in the policy, the amendments that we changed were the applications are going to remain on file and considered active from 1 year from the time of receipt. When a vacancy occurs on a commission, that I will, or my office will review what the applications that we have on file and see if there are interested applications or applicants prior to opening a recruitment. Youth members have been added to all Group B commissions and committees. The term qualified elector has been replaced with resident, and proof of residency is defined as I discussed, that it'll be by signing the application, and then if there is a challenge that in the case that someone feels it's a business, then they'll have to supply additional proof. And that was a conversation because of what, as Councilmember Lowe said, you can have a bank statement or utility bill. So what exactly does that look like? And that was a conversation that the city attorney, Ruderman, assistant city attorney, he and I went back and forth on this about what exactly did that look like, because it could get really in depth. So this is where we settled. Obviously, council can make the change to that. When we do look at that resolution, I am going to ask you to make one additional resolve that says that the policy changes go into effect the same day as the ordinance effective date, because the resolution will be effective today, but the changes, we don't want those to be effective. They can't be effective before the ordinance is effective. So that's one resolve that I will when we get to that point. And then as far as the commission application, we reviewed the applications of other cities in conjunction with council's comments, and we took out, we added the ability for applicants to name multiple commissions of interest. We removed questions regarding voter registration and removed all the questions regarding statement of economic interest, including home ownership, lease. That all of that seemed to be something that wanted to be changed. As a note on the application, it will still be an electronic application. It will take a little bit, and we're going to immediately upon, if you guys go with what we have tonight, we'll be discussing this with the development team tomorrow. Monique and I talked about this today, and get those changes made as soon as possible. And the reason we do not want to go back is to go into a paper application is because being electronic with our system, it allows us to run straight directly into our board management system, which is what puts like the commissioners on the civic web. If we go paper, then we have to take those and manually input everything. So that's why it will take a little bit to change that development of that application, but we'll be submitting that tomorrow. And with that, that's what I have for you. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions. In terms of some of the descriptions of the types of commissions and committees, they say they actually spell out the youth member, and some of them don't have that. And is that because they were originally, like, for example, the pros and the climate, we always wanted a youth member, and so we're not modifying that? Like, for example, like the planning commission in the new edited description doesn't discuss youth member, even though there's another section that says youth members are.
Is that the bees?
Sorry, where we identified is on Exhibit B, Vice Mayor Barnett, who had a youth member, because that's usually where we put the makeup of the commission. If it was, I thought we had captured, we talk about in Section 4, alternates and youth members. And you said that it called out somewhere a specific commission?
On page 3, like where the ordinance starts.
Oh, on the ordinance?
It'll say composition, planning commission.
Correct.
And it doesn't have any reference to youth there.
And it's because all of the new ones where we added them, the idea originally when we did this is we were not going to put the composition with the youth member in this. It was in the policy.
Right.
And when this section, these two sections, Parks and Rec or pros and CAC, that did get added. And I had thought we were changing that to take it out, but I guess that the city
I think that's we should just be consistent.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I agree with
Yes,
Councilmember Lowe,
I
it should be
agree too.
consistent. I thought perhaps it was because the pros and climate, like, we wanted a youth member, and, like, the youth member option exists for the rest, and so maybe, like, meaning the option exists, but maybe, I don't know. But I agree.
I think it's the same, and they're a non-voting member, so it's not going to hold up whether they have a quorum or whether the commission can meet, unlike having the other members. So, but I just think it should be added in there in
Just
the
like
same.
all of them.
All of them, exactly the same.
Okay, I agree.
And rather than adding it to all of the other ones other than in the ordinance, if we can change the language in 2.48020 of the ordinance, removing the reference to the youth member, just like we did the others, because the idea was that we got away from putting the makeup in the ordinance where we didn't have to make that change constantly, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, so in terms of consistency, just take out the youth member.
I'll make
and then
change
the
language.
other
Okay.
part.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
I think
right.
with doing that, then we'll need to reintroduce the ordinance. Yeah, we can do that.
That's great.
Okay. So, that being said then, we'll wait till we get there, sorry. So,
And then my other question, I agree with everything Councilmember Lowe said in terms of, I just want to talk a little more about if there's a challenge. Because hopefully that never happens, and the probability it will happen is low. But if there's a challenge and then it says applicant will be asked to furnish proof of residency, then who determines that? The city clerk? Like for example, I'm just hypothetical example, and this happens a lot actually in this area. You live outside the city limits, maybe you live up on, on a hill somewhere, but then you have an office downtown. You're being asked to provide a proof of resident, a utility bill. Like, your office could have a utility bill in your name. You could have a bank statement to your office in your name. Like, how will you determine that that is not an office and where they live? And is there an appeal to the determination? I mean, meaning I just don't, and this could become an issue. And again, it probably won't happen.
We
but,
have the same issue now, because someone could register to vote at their business address. There's nothing that prevents it. So so what do we do now? So whatever we do now, we have to consistently do, because the same thing occurs. I mean, if somebody is going to use their business as their residence, they could do it. They could register to vote there, and there's nothing that stops them from doing that. So we have the same problem now. So what is the current appeal process? Whatever that is, it should be the same.
Are
I
you
think-
are you allowed to register to vote at your business though? Like, are you committing?
You are allowed to
Is that a
register to
regular?
vote where you say is your residence.
I believe this is in a two.
Where you say it's your residence, and if it's established it's not your residence, it's a business, then are they in violation of some
Yeah.
registration for a voter?
Yeah. Here, now, let me explain a little bit. Actually, right now, we involved in a two different topic. Because when the applicant signed the application form and already said above that all the truth, correct, complete, that means a lot of the thing. Just like, we submit a tax return, I earn these kind of much, everything is the truth. And then, if you have any issues, you should understand its consequence. But that is different. If the city want to audit you, that is different. That is enforcement. So I don't think that right now we have this kind of the ability to that. So before that, I think the education is more important, and we needed to prepare those kind of flyers, make it sure, and also we needed to look at if any the penalties or any the consequent responsibility you should take. It's not just a simple, and because for my understanding, participate local government is very serious. It's a big deal. Yeah.
I'm going to be a devil's advocate. Is there anything on the application form that they're signing that they're guaranteeing it's true and correct, that says they are a resident of the city if that's required by that commission? Because otherwise, they can say it's true and correct that that address happens to be my business address, so I haven't lied.
And just go back to the earlier point, and I just Googled this. The County of Riverside Register of Voters, which I assume applies to all California, says a person may only register to vote at their place of residence. However, a business address may be used as a mailing address. And so my point is, are you committing, an infraction or whatever you want to call it if you register to vote at the business address? And so the concept is out there that you're not allowed to do that. And so it just seems, and again, it's a 1% chance or less this will ever happen. But in the case,
May I make some suggested
if you know Sonoma, commissions can be contentious. There could be issues,
that perhaps will assist in addressing the issue. Number one, I think the application can be modified a bit. Right now, it calls for the address of the applicant. We could stick the word in resident address. In addition, at the end of the application, it says, I agree that all the information contained in my responses to the questions on this application is true and accurate to the best of my knowledge. You might want to change that to, I certify that all of the information contained, et cetera, et cetera. It's a little bit more weighty in terms of what the representation is.
And if you specify it as a residence address, then that at least they're certifying that.
Yes, yeah. And then in terms of how to resolve residency contests, might I suggest that we specifically state in the policy that it's the city manager who does that, and who is to receive the information from the applicant establishing the residency of that applicant. Our code already provides that all city manager decisions, essentially all of them, are subject to appeal to the city council. So we already have a built-in appeal process if the city manager
that's what I'm asking for, yes.
If the city manager is the one who makes the decision. So I would recommend that we add language to that last page of the policy, page 6, Roman numeral 9, that reads as follows. If residency is challenged, applicants will be asked to furnish proof of residency, e.g., lease agreement, utility bill, bank statement, to the city manager, who shall determine whether the applicant has established he is a resident, period.
And then any city manager decision can be appealed.
We don't need to even address that. It's already baked into the ordinance of our city.
Do you have to, and you can challenge residency whenever, or do you have to do it within a certain time frame of being installed to the commission?
Oh, boy.
Like, for example, you have to appeal a decision of a planning commission or something within 15 days, or I think we just changed it to 10 days, but.
How about if residency is challenged before the applicant is appointed? because these applications are going to be effective, apparently, and active for 12 months. So who's going to know within
No, I know.
10 or
Yeah.
15 days of what? That's the problem we have.
I wouldn't put a time period on that. If we choose somebody and we appoint them, and then all of a sudden someone's in the audience going like, they don't live there, and then we just say, could you talk to the city manager, and then they're removed from the committee. That's it, you know? Or they decide to move and they decide, you know, whatever. Just as it comes up.
When we already mentioned about those in the evidence, bank statement, credit card, PG&E bill, do you think it's proper, we said, provide evidence upon request? In this way, will be the better, they will take it serious. And they just like the regular IRS and audit, you know, when you submit any paperwork, assuming absolutely it's correct, and also you fully understand, knowing the law, and then you sign it. If you're not, and you shouldn't take your responsibility and the consequence. Maybe it's too restrict. It's not a proper. But I just bring this question.
Excuse me. Could you just say?
We
have, right now we are discussing.
Yeah,
seeing it's not a public.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, let me open a public comment. Yes, please. Yeah.
Can you say under penalty of perjury? You know, I'm claiming that this is my residence, because you could have your bank statement or your whatever else mailed to your place of business.
Say again. Sorry.
I just don't know if we could enforce penalty of perjury. You know, then we're getting into
Yeah, we don't have this kind of system.
Can Bob Smith prosecute that?
If you're lying, you're lying.
Yeah, so that
if you're lying, you get off the commission. You know, that's you know, that's your penalty and that's your good luck. You know. So.
Well, former Mayor Steve Barbeau said everybody in the valley thinks they live in Sonoma.
They are not a
Maybe
fool.
one
Yeah,
day they will.
Because that is right. Yeah. Even live in the out of the area in the Sonoma County. Yeah, that's where we will come from, Sonoma.
Mayor Ding, since you opened public comment, do you want to finish with public
Yes,
comment?
please. Look at the Zoom, please. Yeah. Yeah.
There is no one on Zoom.
No one. Okay, let me close the public comments, and we can discuss more.
I mean, I think this is a great step forward, and I thank Councilmember Lowe for putting it forward. And I have no issues with it. I just had the issue. I just want to, in the low likelihood of a situation, I just want to make sure we have a process. And it sounds like Jeff was getting us there.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, so what we can do, help the applicants get more information and get an opportunity for an education. Yeah, for sure, you shouldn't take responsibility.
Ms. Barr, do you want to go through the ordinance and strike out the language you're proposing be stricken, or is that too complicated for tonight?
I was trying to make it consistent, but it's very different from what was there prior to the new pieces that were put in. So the problem that we're running into is the timing of this ordinance. The timing that we're going to run into is the timing of the ordinance being effective with the commission recruitment that we have to do coming up. Could we move forward with this portion of the ordinance and then bring this back as a cleanup, because it is the same. I understand where the confusion comes in, but if you look at the makeup on the policy, it does say that a youth member is on each of those pieces. But if we can move forward with this, and then I will bring it back even at the next, I don't know if I can introduce a new ordinance before, I can't do it before it's adopted, can I? Or at the same time it's adopted?
When does the recruitment start for the commissions?
As soon as we get the policy approved and the ordinance at least started through, I will go forward with putting the information out. Once you adopt the ordinance, I will go through, but we have that 30-day before it's effective. And that's where the
Oh,
problem
right.
that we run into.
And the council will be making appointments, I assume, in mid-January?
In the meeting in January.
Yeah.
We have one meeting in January. That's when they'll make the appointments.
I think it would be okay to introduce I'll call it the amending ordinance, the same night we adopt this one. I don't think you have to wait until this ordinance is in effect before you begin the process of amending it.
So if the council is agreeable to that,
Yeah, I
we'll do
would
that.
agree. Yeah, that's good.
So what you'd be proposing is that the ordinance in the packet be introduced tonight, and the council, commission and committee appointment policy, as we've been talking about revising it, that would also be adopted tonight. But the resolution indicates it will not take effect until,
The resolution was actually with the addition of one resolve that after the now therefore, and it talks about the 5 items, that there would be another, be it further resolved that the effective date of the policy changes will coincide with the effective date of the ordinance, and then I will put the ordinance number in.
okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah, to me it does. All right, so the first thing you want the
Okay,
council
that's
to
good.
do is introduce the ordinance in the packet, and that would be teed up then for the council to make a motion introducing the ordinance by reading its title.
Correct.
Okay, I'd like to introduce an ordinance, make sure I got it right, amending section 2.44.010, 2.48.020, 250.020, 2.560.020, 2.60.020, and 10.12.080 of the Sonoma Municipal Code pertaining to the composition of and eligibility requirements for cities, commissions, and committees. Correct? That's it. Introducing it. Okay.
Yes, that's perfect.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett,
Aye.
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Mayor Ding.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimous.
Oh, you broken it?
And the next
Yes,
thing that
next.
council is being asked to do is to adopt the resolution that's in the packet with a new item number 6, indicating that the changes to the appointment policy reflected in the attached appointment policy take effect at the time that the ordinance you just introduced takes effect, plus the policy language itself would be amended in the fashion I earlier described, giving the city manager the power to resolve challenges to residency and modifying the application to reflect that the applicant must reveal his or her resident address and certify that that's correct, rather than just agree that it's correct.
So moved.
Second is who?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett,
Aye.
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Mayor Ding.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council.
Thank you so much for your hard work. All right, let's move to agenda number 6.3. Council discussion, consideration, and a possible action to appoint in the 2 additional council members to police chief interview panel subcommittee. I would like to pass over to city manager. Mr. Casey,
Mayor
please.
Ding and
Yeah.
city council members, the city of Sonoma has contracted with the Sonoma County Sheriff Department for city police services since 2004. Our current police chief, Orlando Rodriguez, will be leaving his position on November 30th, 2022. So at the October 5th city council meeting, staff let the council know the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office has received 2 applications for the upcoming vacancy. Also at the October 5th council meeting, staff told council staff would be following the same selection process as the last 2 police chief recruitments. This process included 2 interview panels that would ensure diverse representation of the community, as well as highlight the unique characteristics of our city. And so the panels would include Sonoma Valley Unified School District, Superintendent, the Sonoma Valley Community Health Center Executive Director, Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce CEO, Sonoma Community Center Executive Director, and Sonoma Overnight Support. And then we had a professional panel, which to be comprised of Sonoma Valley Fire District Battalion Chief, the City of Sonoma PIO, a police chief from Rohnert Park, and 2 city council members. Staff suggested that the current council members who would be remaining in office after the November election, Mayor Ding and Councilmember Lowe, would participate in the panel. So at the meeting, staff solicited questions and comments from the council during the meeting, but there were no requested changes to the suggested process. Following the meeting, city staff scheduled the panel interviews to take place on October 19th, which was today. Staff confirmed candidate and panel participation and prepared facilitation for the interview process. So those interviews took place this morning. Feedback from those panels will be provided to the city to facilitate the decision in the police chief recruitment. This agenda item is to allow the full council to discuss their views and ideas on public safety policy and to take possible action to appoint 2 council members to an additional police chief interview panel subcommittee. So staff is recommending that the council consider and take possible action to appoint 2 council members to this additional police chief interview panel subcommittee. And I want to just say we're not discussing the candidates this evening, but we're just discussing process and your ideas on public safety.
Thank you, Sue. Any questions or? This morning, yeah, Councilmember Lowe and I participated in the full process. We will not discuss about this, but we want to, the purpose for this agenda, we want to encourage all our city council members participate this recruiting, because this is very important. Maybe it's important for next 5 years or 10 years, even longer.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Ding, for requesting this to be put on the agenda. I think the police chief in Sonoma is a very important position. And I think that the process by which we go about selecting our police chief should have been brought forward to the council. As the city manager said, it was mentioned at the October 5th meeting, but it was at the end during city manager comments, and we were just told what the process was. And so I think a decision like this and a process as important as this, I think a police chief conceivably could be there for 10 years or longer and could outlive or survive any current future council and city manager. And so I think when we're selecting, and because of the unique situation and setup of our contract with the sheriff's department, as we all know, we receive many emails about public safety. We are held accountable for public safety in this city, but unlike other cities, we don't typically conduct a search. Someone running for city council, John Gurney, was our last police chief, and he was selected through a large search. And as part of that search, you discuss the individual candidates' views on policing and public safety, and obviously public safety and approaches to that changes over time. And in this situation, the sheriff's department establishes a lot of policy, so we don't have any control over that. And they send us 2 candidates, and we don't really have any control over that. Yet we're held completely accountable for public safety in this city. And so as a result, I was a little surprised to see a few things here. The process, just as I mentioned earlier, this is what the process was, because the reason stated was this is how we did it twice before. Was that a good reason? Was that a bad reason? Have things changed since the last process? In my view, they have, especially in terms of policing. 2 years ago, this whole entire country talked about how we do that. And so I have no idea what this council feels about public safety and how we approach that, and their views on that. And so, in a perfect world, this process would have been brought forward to us before it was, obviously conducted. So I, obviously Mayor Ding and Councilmember Lowe have already participated in the process, and I think that's great. Obviously, they're going to be continuing. I also have no idea what their thoughts about public safety are. I assume they're in line with mine, which is important. But, again, they were just put on a committee without asking the full council, and I think that is highly irregular. And so, as a result, I wanted to sort of talk about getting more council input on that. I also wanted to talk about, obviously we're not going to be able to do it now, but in the future, I do think the police chief, because of this unique setup and because we're held fully accountable for public safety and yet don't have the ability to basically search and find our own police chief as long as this contract setup is in place, I think in the future, the police chief should be a direct appointment of the city council. Currently, the city council directly appoints the city manager and the city attorney, and most city councils, I don't know if most is accurate, but many city councils directly hire their own police chief. And because of this unique setup, I think that's worthy of further discussion.
Could I just add?
points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd like
please.
to add. So I come from a city, a municipality, where we had our own police department and fire department, and I think now it's evolved into possibly the fire department is a district election, district similar to this. I will yield to anything that the council decides. We're so lucky to have Chief Rodriguez. We may not have been lucky had we had another chief. We have no control over any of it. We have no control over the fire department. I found that out a few years ago, and the districts are getting bigger. They're getting further away from our having an input. So whatever the council decides, I will be a part of that. It's just that it's a very different type of an arrangement when you have your own police and fire. It's just very different. So I can't weigh in on this, but I will yield to whatever the council decides.
Question. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, so yes, I did participate today, and I knew this was on the agenda. I didn't really know kind of why, or I'm learning more. But during the interviews, I sort of listened to people who had been on these interviews before in other cities that have a similar, and so Windsor, for example, has the same setup that we have. And the representative, the deputy from Rohnert Park, he sort of outlined a lot of things for me, and it was pretty consistent. I mean, this is the format that they use in cities where they don't have their own police department. So I was a little bit comforted by that, because I thought, well, we're not really doing anything that's different, but I think that in the future, if the council decides that this is, the recommendation comes back to the council, I mean, that's something I suppose we could look at. But I felt like the people who were on the panels were, very representative, and I felt they did a good job. I also, honestly, if somebody had said to me, I'd really like to be on this commission or committee, I would have easily stepped back and let you, for example, be on it. I didn't care. I mean, it's like I want to be on it, but I also, how I am. I'll yield to someone who has a specific interest. I didn't, I felt like I don't want you to feel like I took your place, because I would have been
and
very.
I want you to be on it,
yeah.
but I wanted as a council to talk about, what are we looking for in a police chief?
Yeah.
And so generally in the past, with issues like this of, in my view, significant importance, we would talk about the process and then direct the city manager how to conduct that process. But in this situation, we were told, and especially when we're talking about appointing council members to different committees, I've never seen a situation where council members are just selected without even asking us first. And the reality of the situation is, may have very likely selected both of you as you will be moving on. But again, we were told that's how the process would unfold.
That's interesting that you say that, because the assumption would have been mayor and vice mayor. That's not the point you're making. But that's not the point you're making, but so I don't understand. But as I said, it's a different animal to have districts and for police, and for the police, it's the county. They negotiate their salaries with the Board of Supervisors. They come, slap us around and say, this is it. This is what you're going to pay. We even had a couple of council members on the negotiating from our end. I don't think it changed it any. So, I will yield to whatever. But I think if it was anyone, it could have been the mayor and vice mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
I
Council
agree.
Mayor, let me weigh in a little bit here why this process was the way it was. It largely has to do with the Brown Act. If the council takes control of this process and you select your representatives for a committee, that committee then becomes your committee. And if you add other people to that committee or panel, it no longer can meet in private. And those interviews then have to be conducted in public, with the public sitting there and making comments and having public comment and it being noticed in the newspaper, et cetera, et cetera. That's why it was done the way it was done, with you having no control or say-so as to who gets to be on that committee. And that's why it was done the previous 2 times that way also. So the reason this has been agendized the way it's been agendized is to create a third panel with only 2 council members on it, a minority. Because if a majority of the council is appointed to this committee, that triggers the Brown Act. And I would also caution, and I don't see any problem with it so far, the 2 council members who have already been involved in the first panel this morning, refrain from discussing what was said or what was told you or what your thoughts were, what decisions were important to you, because then you're sharing that information with the 2 other council members who might be on the panel that you select tonight. And we can't have that cross-pollination of information. This has to be a separate, standalone subcommittee of the council selected tonight that goes and interviews these 2 officers privately. That's the concept.
So may I ask a question then, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
So, it's irrelevant who's been chosen, but that was just a random choice? So it could have been randomly a mayor and a vice mayor?
Certainly could.
Okay,
It
that's
was-
the only.
So I just want to,
Essentially, it was chosen by the city manager,
I
if you
didn't
will,
choose
based
I
upon what had
suggested.
gone in the past.
I made a staff suggestion, and I did say after, but it's up to the city council to decide.
But if that had happened, that would have morphed that process into a council decision, and that panel then would have had to have met in public, because the council was insisting then, selecting 2 of the members of that panel, and knowing that there were other panel members on it, you would have combined the 2 into a panel controlled by the council, and that would have subjected it to the Brown Act. So I'm actually glad they didn't weigh in.
So, right, we couldn't
I
weigh
have
in.
a
Hold,
question.
let me just, Jeff, in the past, when we have selected council members to be on a committee, that's always been agendized.
But they're Brown Act, but they're Brown Act committees.
No, I understand. No.
No.
If we appoint 2 council members to a committee, it's usually agendized. This was a city manager comment, and it was told to us, and as you just said, it's better we didn't weigh in. And so,
That would have really messed up the process.
correct. And so
The other panel members
this
would have
narrative,
been
this
very happy
narrative,
to realize that that was a public meeting. You can tell how, you can imagine how they.
I'm just stating this narrative that is being put forth by our city manager, that she asked us if we had any input, and there was no input. You're saying it was good that we didn't provide input. Right.
I've got a question of clarification here. Why is it any different for the council under this agenda item to select 2 members to participate on the committee than it would have been in the original format to have this council select 2 members to participate on the other committee? It's the same thing.
No, it's not. The Brown Act allows this council to select 2 of your members to meet privately. But you cannot add anybody else to that private committee.
But we can have an ad hoc committee that has 2 council members, and we can invite other people.
There, you're right about that. So
And
I guess
why couldn't we have had an ad hoc committee?
that might have worked. That might have worked. Sure, that might have worked.
Sounds
that
like it
ad hoc
would have been a
committee
good idea to
would
bring
have
it
decided
forward.
who else would be on that panel with them. It could have worked that way.
You know,
It seems to me that we're kind of trying to have it 2 ways, and
here,
Well,
yeah,
then, tonight before the council, you're being given the opportunity to select a third panel, 2 council members only. There's no Brown Act issues. You can meet in private if you wish to and interview these two officers.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, because we did have some the issues when me and Sandro participate in this the panel first in the panel, but once we figure out all city council member shouldn't participate in this selection, and then we change it right away. But however, technically we have the difficulties because those kind of interview and the notice and send over already then 1 week early. It's impossible and then changing all. So in this way, and we within the 2 consideration. One is more the city council participation, and another one is with the what is in the legal in the frame for us to carry. So at that time, I contact with the Jeff Water, and then we set up today's this kind of the. I will not say the treatment, this kind of and set up. I think just try to make up the process and the effectiveness. So I suggest right now we can select or volunteer who the 2 council members will become the visitor subcommittee and find another time to interview these people.
Yeah, after you hear public comment, I think that's appropriate.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let me open to the public.
Can those 2 council members invite other people to join them, members of the community?
I guess so.
Okay.
I guess you could do that, and I don't know whether the officers would be surprised to have those community members there, but I suspect you could do that.
but you would have to specifically declare that it's an ad hoc committee, correct?
It's an ad hoc committee. You've got one purpose, and it will dissolve itself once you've finished.
Any public comments? Oh, sure. Yeah.
Probably.
Armando Zimmerman, I'm back. I had a question just in the wording, the interview panel subcommittee. Who exactly is this? Because I'm trying to follow this very complicated process. And another question was, since we've spoken about youth participation and diversity and things like that, is there any kind of youth participation in this process at whatever level, non-voting? I assume it would be non-voting. Is there any young person on on any of these panels at any level?
Sir, this question is the previous agenda. We already the panel, right?
What? I'm sorry.
No, it's not that. He's asking.
No, this is the on the city subcommittee.
No. He's asking on the police interview panels,
Oh,
could there be as
I included the youth.
adding
Okay.
a youth member, or was there a youth member?
Yeah, that was my question.
Who was on there?
So,
Okay.
yes?
Oh yes, please.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, then my further comments are I know very little about policing, but I'm going to take it to this point. I've participated in the Traffic Safety Committee since 2014. I've had interactions with 2 chiefs, the current chief, Orlando Rodriguez, and the previous chief, Brett Sackett. In one way or another, actually, both chiefs have been, as far as I can tell, pretty clear that their budget does not include being able to prioritize things such as traffic safety, calming, community policing, and whatever. And so we've been left with the impression, as far as my participation in traffic safety, and from this other group that I've participated with in the past online, that that it must be a contractual thing that this city, the council, doesn't require or doesn't fund, or how can they require it if they don't fund it? That's what I get back. We'd like to do this, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't want to throw any chief, under the bridge. I mean, that's not my point. But it's gone back and forth. Oh yeah, we would do that. We could do that, but we're not funded for that. In fact, Chief Rodriguez one time in a meeting spelled out fully his staffing, how many officers on Wednesdays and Fridays and Thursdays and so forth and so on. And it only goes so far as what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And so at this point, I'm just urging this council to consider, I don't know, maybe I'm out of place, but to consider that if these anecdotes are correct, or even somewhat online, that the city put some funding into these things that we keep talking about, and we're starting to talk more about, the sideshows and speeding and just
All right.
whatever. Okay,
Thank you.
I know you're taking my time away, but
Yeah,
nonetheless.
no problem. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Little bit.
Well, and Mr. Mayor, sorry. We don't have money for the accoutrements of this. We can't, we get what they give us because we can't afford, maybe if we put, it's, 50% of our budget is already public safety?
Yes,
That's a heck of a lot of money.
yeah.
We could be doing a lot
60%
more with
both
it.
to be-
It wouldn't change
Yeah.
even if it was our own department. That doesn't change. But, it's just different. That's all I can say. It's
And I
different.
think Mr. Zimmerman brought up a good point, not just for a youth person being involved in this process, but we have a traffic safety committee, and obviously a lot of public safety and crime issues in this city were related to traffic, and I think a member of the traffic safety committee should have been involved in this process.
That is right. Yeah, we needed to improve in the future. So how about the Zoom? Any comments? I don't think so.
No one's raising
No.
their hand.
So
All right.
may I ask the city
Sure.
attorney, could you tell us what we're doing right now? Where are we? I felt that I went adrift making my personal statements, and you might help us getting back to the point.
Yes, well, the public comment, I believe, has been closed. The charge before the council tonight is to decide whether you want to have a second group of council members to interview the candidates for this particular position. And if so, appoint them to do that task.
And we would be allowed, that group of two would be allowed to invite other participants.
I think so, yes.
That's good. That's good. Well, first of all, just like a regular, who's a volunteer, they can, we want the support.
Well, it's sort of down to you three.
Yeah.
I mean, so if that's something that
I
you're
really
interested in?
encourage, yeah, either you or you, another you.
Would you like to do it, Manon?
No, because I don't, this system isn't, I agree with you. I'm very happy. No, I've already said, I come from a place where we had our own departments.
Right.
Oh, yes.
So I'm like jaded.
Yeah, just two of
Alright,
you.
would
Yeah,
you like
that's
to
I'll
great.
volunteer.
That's
All right, I'll
wonderful.
do it.
Yeah. So now we would like to make the motion, or
All
Yes,
right.
let's have a motion doing that, please.
Yes, please make a motion to
Oh, I'd like to make a motion that
Appoint-
we appoint
appointed two
Vice
council member,
Mayor?
Vice Mayor, Council Barnett,
right, and
Councilman-
Mr. Felder,
Felder.
and Councilmember Felder. To this, what am I calling it?
Interview panel.
An
Interview panel.
interview panel. God bless you all.
Who second?
You don't have to say that. It is what it is.
Is there a second somewhere?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe,
Aye.
Councilmember Agramonte,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett,
Aye.
Councilmember Felder,
Aye.
Mayor Ding.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
All right, yeah, let's move on. And agenda number 7, council members' reports and comments. 7.1, committee reports. Council members are appointed to various board, committee, local, countywide, and regional. Right now, and share with us your updates.
Sure, I'd like to share. I'm on the Continuum of Care Board, which deals with homeless. And it's interesting. We were talking about appointments, and I was always almost going to joke and say, for people to want to be appointed, maybe we should give them a little coffee card to encourage them to do that. However, with homeless, actually, in order to get them to complete a 42-question questionnaire, it takes about an hour and a half. So the only way that you can get a person who is homeless, they give them a coffee card or a food card, just so they'll be able to complete it. So this, and one of the other issues I feel where they're looking at a strategic plan for the Continuum of Care Board, one of the things that we hear are losing because I think we're an outlier. This is Sonoma Valley, we really don't get the money that we could or should, and it's just kind of interesting. It's pretty bad, and so the smaller cities have been looking at a geographic equity, which is something we don't get here, and that's something that I think COC is actually looking at, and so. Just those couple of things. And other than that, that's my committee.
Mayor Ding,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm being the city clerk here. It is your rule that if you're going on after 9 o'clock, a majority of the council
yes.
has to vote to continue.
All right, yeah, right now it's already the 9:20. Yeah, do we like to continue our agenda?
Yes.
Okay, who's second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lowe. Aye. Councilmember Agramonte.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Barnett.
Aye.
Councilmember Felder.
Aye.
Mayor Ding.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your reminding. Appreciate it. So the next, Councilmember Lowe, you're to share.
I was on the Sonoma County Transportation Authority. They did some routine business, and they did endorse Proposition 30, which is a clean air electric vehicle measure.
That's great. Yes, please.
Got a couple of quick ones. I attended the Sonoma Clean Power Board meeting on October 6th, and the good news from them was that they received a multi-million-dollar grant from the California Energy Commission to install electric vehicle chargers. And the second one is I also attended the Sonoma County Mayor and Council Members Association meeting on October 13th. And the primary item of business there was we approved the amended bylaws.
That's great. Yeah, thank you. Participate. How about you? Okay. I have then two things to report. And first of all, last week I received two letters from the former and our city mayor. One is Joanne Sanders. Another is Laurie Gallia. Both of them have the one purpose. They want to request city council and the mayor appointed Sharon Ferris, our local specialist, as our city protocol, because as our city
have involved a lot of the international events. And this beginning of this year, we had a conference for the Ukraine. And other than such cities, we have more and more getting involved for the international events. So we definitely need, and these kind of professionals give us advice and direction. So now I would like to, put this and for our next council meeting to discuss it more, see if we need to set up this kind of position and help us in getting the better image on the international stage and also domestic. This kind of position, not only in international, also is domestic. If the president visits here, what kind of protocol we should be and provide. Yeah. So that is all. That is all. Anything else?
I just, we all took our picture at the beginning, but we didn't say anything about why we're all wearing these pink shirts. And so this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I think everybody should make sure that they get checked. I did this month. It was beautiful at the wonderful Sonoma Valley Hospital, and they were wonderful over there, and I think you all should sign up, and if you need any help with that, let us know. But thank you to our fire department for bringing us these beautiful pink shirts and pointing this out, because it's a great service that you do, and it's so important.
And in addition to that, Sonoma Valley Hospital actually has a fund for free mammograms here in the valley for people who live or work here.
Yes.
Yes. Last week I was invited by San Francisco fans community in a farm in the Bayview area, a very rough area, and we talked about the food sovereignty issues, and the speaker Nancy Pelosi also was there. So I got honored to meet her and show off. It's not show off, a showcase of Sonoma. Yeah, that is a good opportunity. And another thing is this in a community farm applying the $3 million for the government grants. I would like to, connect it out in the local, community in the garden and see how we can follow. Yeah, they promised. They said they can help. Yes. All right, let's move to agenda number 8, city manager comments and announcements.
Mayor Ding, City Council members, the draft downtown parking management plan has been released for 30-day public comment. It's on our website live. So we'll be taking public comment on it for 30 days, and then we'll take the plan and the public comments to Planning Commission on the November 17th meeting. And then following that, staff will take the plan with any revisions and recommendations from the Planning Commission to the City Council for consideration in early 2023. We haven't decided on the date yet. And then David Starr has an announcement as well.
Yesterday, the county issued a notice of availability for the final EIR for the specific plan for the Sonoma Developmental Center. And I wanted to let the public know about that as well as your council, because we have had the opportunity to provide 2 letters. And Mayor Ding, your letter, September 22nd, is classified as letter A number 1. It's the first letter that they responded to in the final EIR. So way to go, big team. If I could just explain briefly about what a final EIR is. And as it turns out, it's 2,500 pages. The draft EIR itself, which did all of the environmental analysis under CEQA, was about 1,000 pages. So I've been multitasking, so I apologize for doing that tonight because I wasn't prepared because of it just being released yesterday. But I can tell you that there's 204 letters with about 1,500 unique responses that have been provided. So we have 5 for us to review and see how they clumped us with generic responses, so to speak. and then some additional master responses, transportation being one, and other things. So that's the good news. It's out there for public review. The County Planning Commission will be reviewing it on October 27th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And comments are requested to be coming in the day before at 5 o'clock. Problem with that is the Sonoma Valley Citizens Advisory Committee is going to be reviewing it at 6:30 p.m. the night before the Planning Commission will be reviewing it. So we as staff can work with the city manager and the mayor to prepare a response and play ping pong with the prior letters and how they've responded once we get into that level of detail. The good news is there will be a point in time should the Planning Commission, the County Planning Commission, provide a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to also address the Board of Supervisors on whether to certify or not certify. I can tell you that the actual final EIR does provide, as it has in the past, significant and unavoidable impacts relating to transportation and historic resources. So they will be doing statements, findings of fact and statement of overriding considerations to address those issues as they're wont to do. So that concludes my comments from.
Thank you, Davey.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. All right, let's move to another agenda item. Agenda item number 9, City Attorney's comments.
Tonight I have no comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
But I would like to share everyone. I believe tonight's meeting is your last meeting, or will have them more? Oh no. Okay. Will be the next month. Yeah.
The reports of my demise are premature.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yes. Thank you for your hard work. Almost around the clock. Yeah. Just take this opportunity. Say thank you. All right. Let's move to another agenda. That is the commission and committee roster. City manager. Okay. Committee rosters. So, agenda number 11. Adjourn. We adjourn.
But aren't you continuing?
Now we are adjourning to closed session.
Closed session. Yeah.
For the reason articulated in the special meeting agenda.
Yes.
Thank you.
And 5 minutes later, and we will go to the conference room, continue our closed session.